Good morning, Daybreak watchers. We're going to get going in about 45 seconds here.
Morning with Daybreak with Brian and Jamie from 6 to 8. And keep the day going with fresh perspectives from Stephanie Miller, 8 to 11. Tom Hartman from 11 to 2. And Jeff Santos from 2 to 5. Recap the day and have some fun during Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Buck from 5 to 7. Smart talk, fresh voices, and news you can count on. 92.7 WMDX.
Finding support for my child with ADHD felt overwhelming.
Good morning!
Morning!
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is where Wisconsin wakes up. It's Daybreak with Brian Noonan and Jamie Martinson. Here are your hosts, Brian and Jamie.
6:06 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. Hopefully your day is off to a great start. Already a little sunshine peeking out, which is good news for a lot of us. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Always happy to hear from you throughout the morning. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Have you closed the blinds yet so you are not blinded at some point
We just
in
left
the
them
show?
from earlier this week. We just
All
left
right,
them where they were
good.
at, so hopefully we're good to go this
You
morning.
don't want your retinas burned out at some point during the show again. That would be horrifying.
There's a lot of glass in our studio. There's also a lot of glass in downtown Madison. So there's a lot of reflection that happens when the sun comes out. Isn't there, Parker?
Horrible place to be doing a show during severe weather. I was genuinely very concerned about Dom the other night.
Oh,
They
that's
made it
true.
through.
At night, have the windows been blown out?
No,
Ever?
no,
That's
no.
good. We
No,
wanna make sure
we've always
everybody
made
is
it
safe.
through. That's right. We've always made it through safely. So that's the good news.
We
But
really should get like some kind of curtains or something.
all of a
else.
sudden, Parker's concerned, Brian.
I mean,
Yeah, get some storm curtains. Why don't you just throw some cardboard up there, Parker?
I mean, hey,
Go
and-
all-
Glass up the joint. We'll
Yeah.
glass it
yeah,
up.
Cut up some
we gotta
boxes.
hunker down, guys.
Wow. All right. Well, it's really just you and Dom in there and Jamie
Right.
in the
I mean,
morning. So,
True. So really,
and
So
you're
what are you
you're expendable. Go to the.
expendable.
We're
Can't you go to that
expendable. Yeah, it
inside?
doesn't-
For those of you who are not familiar, which most people are not, there's another studio in there that has no windows.
yes.
Right.
You go
Yes.
sit in the bunker,
That's true.
It is like a studio bunker. That's essentially what it is.
and all the
with-
big equipment that runs the network is in a bunker too. So
That's right. There's a reason the building is designed as it is. In
yeah,
fact, our
panicky
headquarters.
Parker. I know you get blown away. All right,
In
Wizard
fact,
of
our
Oz, relax,
Our
Dorothy.
headquarters are an old bank headquarters, so
Yes.
that's why you've got a lot of inside walls in here. So
Very
little
nice.
little inside information if you ever want to visit us at our headquarters in downtown Madison.
I'm having an issue that I'm hoping some people can give me advice on because I have reached a point where a lot of people who have elderly parents get to this point, and I'm hoping people can be as helpful with this as they were with Frank's bachelor party conundrum last week. When you were gone, Frank used the show, Jamie, as a pulpit for his own needs.
Okay.
And got a lot of great suggestions from folks about where some specific places to host a bachelor party in Wisconsin. So he got really good advice. If you get to a certain age, pardon me, and your parents are a certain age, you kind of take over the role as caregiver. And I'm kind of at that point with my mom where now we've been told by assisted living that she has to move into a long-term nursing facility.
Sure.
I've never done this before, obviously. If you have moved your parents into a nursing home, what did you look for when you were going there? You know, she doesn't have like skilled medical needs. She doesn't have feeding tubes or oxygen or any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, so this is the newest project that consumes I have either this show that I'm working on or I'm trying to figure out
Right.
nursing homes, which is It's
But
like,
stop-
oh my goodness. Yeah,
You
it's
might need
it's
a
a funny
weekend off,
thing.
Brian.
No time off for me. No time off. We got to, and I have I went through, just like I did when I was looking for assisted living. I went through and got Medicare grades, and then I
Sure.
got U.S. News and World Report rankings. And so I'm looking and comparing, and I'm trying to keep it within a certain geographic area, of course,
Sure,
because
so you can get there quickly.
Yeah, since I'm the one
Yeah.
who's here. So it's all very it's all very new, and I know I'm not the first to go through it, so that's why I'm
Has
hoping
any of that
somebody
been
can help.
helpful as you put some of that together? Is any of that
Yes.
helpful? Okay.
Yes, no, especially, well, the Medicare one especially alerts you right away if there have been complaints against the
Okay.
facility. So that's gone. Those are gone first.
Sure.
Anything average or below average, I kick out. So then it gets to, and it's surprised they do kind of balance out the U.S. News and World, because they give their awards and their certifications, and then because I stay away from like Yelp reviews, because there's Yelp is always disgruntled, whether it's restaurants or
Right.
nursing homes.
Anything.
People are disgruntled about something.
It's always the people who are upset or feel like they got wronged, bad service, whatever it might
Right.
be, whatever situation. Yes.
Well, it's
totally
amazing,
agree.
right? You go to a restaurant and you have a great time. It's good. The food's terrific.
Right.
The service is great. And then you look at Yelp and they have 73 one-star reviews. How could this possibly be?
And it's usually stupid stuff like the server didn't bring me enough biscuits, or the
Right.
server didn't give me water when I needed it. Okay, well maybe it was a really busy time that you were in there. Maybe you should just be. I mean, like I get it.
Don't go
You're
in
there,
so
you're paying for it,
dehydrated.
but-
You'll get it.
Right.
You'll get your
I get
water.
it. You're paying for it, but at the same time, you know what? Our service industry, they don't exactly have it easy. So I take some of those
Or I had
reviews
to
with a grain
wait.
of salt.
Or
Right.
or like you the other night, it would have been, but you got in there in time. I went there 3 minutes before the kitchen
Right.
closed, and they didn't have everything I wanted.
That's on me. That's totally on me
Right.
at that point. Or I always love the ones, I went in on a Friday night at 6 p.m. and I had a 45-minute wait. Really? You don't say.
No reservation, you just had to wait. Shocking.
Wow.
Shocking. So so that's what I'm doing the same thing, but with a place that I have
With
to put my
nursing homes.
mom to live in. It's like, oh boy. And then how do you have that conversation
Right.
with her? It's the whole thing, because I am not going back to Magnum Force, and a man's got to know his limitations. I know I am a good problem solver, but I am
Sure.
not the greatest caretaker. I'm empathetic. I'm like a lot of people, I want to solve the problem. And
Right.
some problems you cannot solve. And that's the frustrating part. It's not, I'm frustrated because I have to take care of somebody. It's frustrating
Right.
because I can't help enough. I can't get the
Right.
job done.
And I think in this particular case, it's really hard, especially if you have a parent who, because let's be realistic, especially when they as people get to a certain age, sometimes the body gives out long before the brain does. Right? And when they're still sharp enough to be able to make those decisions and be involved in those conversations, it makes it doubly hard because they feel like, at least in cases we've had in our family, it always, to that person, always felt like you were trying to take things away from them, and you didn't trust them and their ability. And that's not what it is. You want them to be safe, right? You want them to be cared for, and it has nothing to do with what we think their abilities are. It has everything to do with what their body is allowing them to do at this particular moment. And that's where it becomes really difficult.
That's the hard part. And then, the cognitive ability, everything is sliding. Over 89, things happen. And boy, but it does make you think about your own aging, doesn't it?
Yes.
Parker, I want you to promise you're going to old yeller me. That's right. I want you on record. I want somebody I'm going to get to that point. Take me out to the shed, Parker. I'm good with it.
But But it is a hard
no.
conversation, right? And then to think of it in your own terms of your own life, it's a conversation Corey and I actually have often because we're in our late 40s. We have no plans. We have absolutely no plans of what's going to happen to us, and we have two boys who at some point are probably going to have to make decisions for us, and I've seen their empathy. I don't even want to know what's going to happen to us if they have to make decisions for us. But and then you toss in the fact that in where we're at right now, facilities are not. We don't have a plethora of them really anywhere for patients like your mom. We don't have a plethora of doctors. The cost for families is so astronomical.
It's unbelievable.
Then you have to start making choices of, do you want to essentially take the care that might be better here with a little better review, but at the same time, it's really, really spendy, and nobody wants to be put into that situation when you're talking about a loved one, right? You don't want to be there.
Right, and some,
it's an unfortunate circle.
And a lot of people can't take somebody into their house, especially when they have advanced needs. Right. But yeah, I am so grateful that my mom and dad went into education, because back in the day they got good pensions.
Sure.
And my mom still gets my dad's pension from the board too. So I'm like, man, I should have thought of Parker. There's still time.
There's
still time for you. Save yourself.
I could get out of here. I could teach at a school.
Do companies or do educators or companies still do pensions like that though in 2026?
The teachers, at least the Illinois teachers do. That's why people complain that they don't pay Social Security.
Sure.
But they paid into their pensions, so they get their pensions.
Because I know that that's a big contentious point for a lot of government employees because those pensions are starting to shrink smaller and smaller. It's part of the reason why some of our government entities, United States Postal Service, is having financial issues. So I know there's a lot of companies, because at one point in time, you got your pen, your gold watch, you retired, you got your pension. That's what people lived for, right? Now, in 2026, you're like, all right, we don't have to pay this person anymore. They're off the payroll. Now we can take that salary and divide it among 3 different people, because that's where we're at in the economy.
That's we're all supposed. Everybody, it's amazing now. Everybody is supposed to be a financial advisor of their own future. Whereas back in the day, like you said, you put in 30, 40 years at a company. You retired, you got a pension, and that's how the system was. Now it's like, if you don't start planning when you're 24 at your first job and setting up all sorts of, you're late, Parker.
God, you really.
There's a refrigerator box in your future.
God, between the windows and now this.
I don't know how you even get out of bed in the morning. You must be.
I'm in shambles.
There is nothing that's going to save you. That's horrifying. That's so sad, Parker. But it's amazing. It's amazing how things change, and just everybody's life evolves. And again, my life is not unique. That's why I was reaching out. But it's just one of those hurdles you get to, and then now I'm like, oh, what's Molly going to do with me?
Right. I think
I've been in radio.
Well, I think about those things all the time. And then the fact that my dad passed away almost 20 years ago, it will be in July. My mom has been on her own ever since. And, I've talked about the situation with my mom. She has congestive heart failure. So we're constantly worried about her medical needs, her medicines. She lives on a fixed income, which is essentially my dad's Social Security, which isn't a lot and pretty much all goes to rent and utilities. And there's not always a lot of room left at the end of the day for all of the medicine she needs. And yes, she has health care, but we know how that's changed over the course of the last few months / years. And then you also, by the way, have to have some food in there too. And so I understand this circle quite well, because we go through it ourselves very, very frequently. And my mom is one of those people. I don't know how your mom is, but my mom is one of those people where she'll basically be completely out of money, and she'll call and say, I don't know what to do, but I didn't want to bother you. I just know how busy you are. No. See, you should have bothered me, because
especially when it thankfully one of my other brothers handles all the financials.
Oh, you're lucky.
Well, Sure. When we come back, you know who's not lucky? Us in the United States, because the Supreme Court has basically rolled back our civil rights. We'll talk about that and so much more. It's Daybreak, and this is the Civic Media Network.
All right.
Alicia asking if we've heard about Andre
Yes.
Jacques. I don't.
I am sending it right now. He's not seeking election.
Oh, darn. It's another one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he was younger than I was. Huh. He's like 2.5 years younger than I am.
That is not an attractive man in that picture. In an ill-fitting suit. I'm sorry.
At least get a suit.
I'm
that
that guy, Parker.
Obviously, he didn't go to the place where you put on your compression shorts and then do a 3D modeling.
No.
He did not.
And I can see from the lay of his jacket, you know, he's a bigger dude, and he had to get one that buttoned across his gut, so the shoulders are much bigger. Because I've been, listen,
Been there, yeah.
you've been there. I know how it is.
I understand.
Same with the dress shirt. You got to
Yep.
cover that belly so the neck is too big.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the Parker just like what are you?
I'm just hoping.
How do you see this?
I'm hoping. To reference yesterday, hoping I can stay petite.
Yes, stay petite,
compact.
Yes.
but you're tall too. So
Do you ever
Not
have
as tall.
issues with like
Frat guy, 6 foot.
like lankiness? Because I know when Dexter
Sometimes
goes
not
in,
as much anymore.
because when Dexter goes in to get, and Dexter wears everything very oversized. It's kind of his vibe right
Sure.
now. But when he goes in, sometimes I'm like, they don't make a 28-32.
Yeah.
Like that's not actually
Yeah.
a thing. And so it's
the
he
boys
has-
department or the kids department.
but he wants the big baggy dragon kind of thing. So which is why it works for me right now and him, because I can get a 30-32.
Yeah.
And he always wears them low, like, just right on his hips anyway with a belt. So
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
he's my hard one to shop for if he needs stuff. I'm like, oh
right.
God.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
Local voices, statewide impact. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. It is 22 minutes after 6, very early on this Thursday morning. And I'm telling you, Brian, I'm feeling every bit of the earliness today.
Yeah.
By this point of the week, I start feeling it a little bit more. And then tomorrow, I'll have a little bit more pep in my step, because who doesn't on a Friday? But we're here. We're going to muddle through today.
We'll make it. It is, and it does. The old hump day term never really. It's really hitting since we started this show. Where once Wednesday is done, I'm like, okay. But then the last few
we're
weeks,
almost
I've been
there.
very confused after the Thursday show, and I'm like, oh, we're done. I'm like, no,
I know.
you still have to
No.
work tomorrow.
One more.
got a
It's
show
wishful
tomorrow.
thinking. That's wishful
Yeah.
thinking. That's what
It
that
could
is.
be.
We all get there with our
So-
jobs.
What are your feelings about the Supreme Court ruling yesterday, basically killing the Voters' Rights Act? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Jamie, we joke here about gerrymandering being one of your favorite things, and it's not.
Yeah.
The gerrymandering is not your favorite thing,
No.
but you do like talking about it and dissecting it. And we saw this battle start a couple months ago when Donald Trump was telling states they need to redraw their maps, and Texas redrew their map, and then California threatened to redraw their map. And here in Wisconsin, we've been dealing with this issue for a long time about gerrymandering and redistricting and all of this. I never thought I would see the Supreme Court overturn the Voters' Rights Act, which basically kills the hope of a lot of voters, especially in southern states, where gerrymandering against even one district has been going on for decades.
Yes, and for anybody who wants to stay with us throughout the morning or can, we're going to actually have an expert join us at 7:30, and we're going to dive into this a little bit more with him, get a little history on this as well. But you're right. I mean, it feels very much like we've talked about this with the Supreme Court, right? It feels like when they do one thing correctly, they're gearing us up for something even bigger that they're preparing to undo.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this throughout the Trump administration. We saw this even during Joe Biden's term, where it felt like every time they give us a little win, that means there's something much bigger coming down the pike. And this is one of those things, because essentially what happened is they tossed out Louisiana's long contested congressional map as an unconstitutional gerrymander. And this is a decision, as you rightfully pointed out, Brian, that could have implication for years, not to mention the fact in the midterm elections coming up in just a few months. Now, for Louisiana, this decision scraps the map that was drawn in early 2024 and added a second black and Democratic lawmaker to the state's overwhelming Republican delegation.
It's just a second one.
Yes.
And just a little Louisiana history. Over a third of their voters are African American. It might even be more than that, but it is.
Yes.
So to have two representatives doesn't seem like that many.
No, it really doesn't. And of course, the Supreme Court's decision comes in the middle of a much broader and, as a lot of us know, a very highly unusual mid-decade redistricting, because these Republican states this has been a war against voting. And we've seen this play out all across the country. And I think when you look at what happened yesterday, the timing is probably the most suspect thing to me in all of this, because it wasn't random. This wasn't done randomly by any means. This was essentially done at the time it was to make sure that the Republican Party has an upper leg, especially in large portions of this country, in the midterm elections. Because the one thing that they do not want to have happen is people to vote and be able to have their vote counted in a fair way. That has been an ongoing battle with this party.
Yes, that part is true. I have been reading a lot of dissertations. Now, we know Florida had a redrawn map ready to roll, and as soon as this decision came down, they passed that. So Florida is picking up 4 seats. Louisiana, they said it's probably too late to get a new map done before the midterms, and that's the case in most places because there was a March 10th deadline to have all that stuff in. So for the midterms, other than in Florida, things may stay the same. Now, once the presidential election comes around or later elections come around, that's when we're really going to see the effects of this. But my question, and we'll talk to our expert later, is where does this end?
Right.
Because, all right, you start seeing it across the South. And again, they're not taking away a lot of representatives. It's not like there's a lot of representatives from the South anyway, but they're going to try to get rid of all of them.
Yes.
They're looking at Tennessee. They have one Democratic district in Tennessee. There's already talk about that trying to be redistricted. But then does California, do blue states then, does this just become a nuclear escalation of trying to redistrict, and it changes every time there's
it does. This is why
a new
gerrymandering
administration
is a pet project of mine, and why I hate it so much, because of exactly what we're talking about. And back to your point, one of the things that I think worries me the most is when we look at the midterms, we've seen several of these Republican states who have Republican governors, state houses, state senates, state Supreme Courts, all under Republican control. And when you have that, the thing that worries me the most is how quickly will they be able to push something through if they really, really want it to happen. And that's what terrifies me about November, because I will. There's a part of me that believes some of these Republican states have had these plans drawn up in the background, hoping, just waiting for this moment in time. And that's what I think terrifies me about how we're going to disenfranchise so many voters potentially across the country because of this.
Are you looking to adopt a beagle? Well, there's going to be a lot coming to rescue centers near you in the near future. We'll talk about that and more. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak.
I'm Jamie Martinson, 629. You are listening to the Civic Media Network.
All right.
I was actually surprised that they issued this decision when they did. But that's what also makes me stop and pause just a bit about how many Republican states have plans to try to still push something through.
Well, and once Virginia, and of course Virginia actually let the people vote and
right.
didn't just hammer it through on their
right.
own.
But
yeah,
Supreme Court, yeah.
I'm sure like Missouri is probably going to all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
have one at the ready. I don't quite understand the March 10th deadline, but
it's just it's just another one of those wars that the GOP has established against people being able to have a free will and choose their electeds. And here's the thing. It bothers me when Democratic states do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I get that, there's retribution, and that's why California wants to redistrict. That's why, there's been talk potentially for a while. There were rumors that maybe Illinois was going to try to do the same thing to pick up Democratic seats.
Well, Republicans are now clamoring for Illinois to redraw because they're saying this is the most gerrymandered state. It's like, no, not really, because downstate is pretty hardcore Republican. You get up here, Chicago obviously is very blue.
Right.
Some of the collar counties that used to be blue are now more purple. So, it doesn't, unless you cut the state in half.
Right.
That's, and maybe we just go to that. Just take the state and chop them into quarters, fifths, whatever.
I think this is also scary for Wisconsin, and just because with the gubernatorial election, depending on what happens, you may have a governor that doesn't protect gerrymandering the way Evers has, right? And has fought against it so hard. And then you look at places like Madison and with the population here and even college students, and how is that going to work in the state of Wisconsin? And then you look at, because the prime target would obviously be Milwaukee. Republicans have had Milwaukee in their sights for a very, very long time because not only with the population, but also because of the central count, right? That is part of their. So it's scary, and Wisconsin will be okay for the midterms, but we need new maps by the end of this year. And the Republicans refuse to work on that. And if Tom Tiffany wins, there's nobody to protect the map like Evers has.
No.
And we're right back to where we were under Walker. Unless by some chance the Democrats can pick up a few new seats and even things out even more. But
yeah, I don't
know. It's going to be fascinating. And boy, the Republicans are sure jumping ship on the state level in Wisconsin.
Yeah, they are. I wish they'd do it on a federal level.
Yeah.
This is worrisome.
I just love that. I don't want to pick on him because he's the minority black guy on the Supreme Court, but does Clarence Thomas know who he is?
But he's not. Clarence Thomas is an elitist. But this is John Roberts' legacy. His court has, first of all, you take away Roe versus Wade. Now you've taken away the Voters' Rights Act. What kind of legacy is that to leave behind?
The one thing that I think that maybe this GOP hasn't taken into account is how wildly unpopular Trump is, though. I don't know because there's a lot of white Republicans who voted for him that he's underwater with in polling right now as well. I mean, he's at Carter level underwater right now, which is yikes. He's only like 3 points higher than what, if you look at polling on average, he's only about 3 points higher than Carter was when he had to go head to head against Reagan in 1980. And we saw, I mean, history, I was only 2, but history tells me that that was a landslide. So
We got 10 seconds here.
From Lake Superior to Lake Michigan, this is Wisconsin's Morning Conversation. Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
we hope that your morning is going well so far. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening in Madison today on WMDX, or in Wausau on WXCO, or in La Crosse on WLCX, we're glad that you decided to join us on the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. If you want to get involved, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. If you call in, be nice to Parker. He'll be answering the phone, and he's very nervous. He's got things.
He's living in a box, covering the windows today.
Yeah, and not because he thinks aliens are coming. He just is. He's nervous. He's the more he listens to us, the more he fears the future, and I don't blame you.
The more I learn about the future, the more worried I get, Brian.
Good. You should be worried about the future.
This is a good tactic. Go with that. Go
Scared
with your gut,
straight,
Parker.
brother. You know, be prepared like a Boy Scout. Hey, Parker, maybe a beagle would help you. Maybe a dog to comfort your anxieties.
Yes,
what do you think?
I've got one, but sure. What's two? Yeah,
sure.
Why not?
And
They can entertain each other.
Yeah,
they can. They keep each other company. The dogs don't get depressed. That's what I was told years ago.
How is that going for you, Brian?
Oh, they've been
2 dogs. Okay.
We've always had 2 dogs. Well,
Okay.
since we had the first one, then we had to get the second one because my wife told me the dogs needed company. So now we've always had 2 dogs.
Sure.
And they don't care about each other. There's a nice level of dog détente. They just they coexist nicely. They whatever. They're both seniors at this point. The one will just look at me like, why is she making that noise? Why is she?
Yeah, I get it. I get it totally where she's coming from. I think
I say the same thing. I don't know why
so.
anybody's making this noise. I would just stop. Well, if you are looking for a beagle to adopt, this may be a good time to start putting the feelers out because Ridgeland Farms, you've been following this saga. We've been talking about this saga here in Madison. The beagle facility that, raises them for experiments and medical treatments and things, they've reached an agreement to sell a substantial majority of their beagles to rescue organizations instead of research buyers. Hopefully that will make some of the people who are protesting happy okay. Now the problem is they're going to sell about 1,000 to 1,500 dogs out of about the 200 that they have.
2,000. Yes.
2,000. What did I say? 200?
200. Yep.
Oh, well, then you can't sell 1,500 dogs if you only have 200. That's a Ponzi scheme. That's not right. The math ain't mathing. You're correct. 2,000. Thank you.
The math ain't mathing.
Thank you.
No, it's not. Listen, I've never claimed to be a mathematician. So about 1,000 dogs are expected to go right to rescue care. The others will be sent to shelters across the country. Now you have to worry, okay, you've got these 1,000, 1,500 dogs. You got to get them to shelters that are no-kill. You got to hope they get adopted. There's a lot of dogs in these shelters. And I'm not saying that one is preferable to another. I'm like, okay, you got your first step. You did well getting that first step realized. Now what are we going to do?
And the deal actually involves the Big Dog Ranch Rescue and Center for a Humane Economy. Now, here's a fun little tidbit of information that I found while doing a little research. Laura Trump, the president's daughter-in-law, is actually a director of the Big Dog Ranch Rescue.
Really?
I had no idea. She is, yes. The actual owner and founder of Big Dog Ranch Rescue. I believe there might be, it sounds like maybe this is a rescue that has several across the country in different locations, is from Florida, and Laura Trump is basically a member of the board of directors for which I find fascinating.
I
She's
hope this is
obviously an
actually
animal
for
lover.
dogs then, and not just for what's up, big dog? And it's like finance bros who need a place to
Right.
crash after they've
Right.
lost all their money.
I found that too, as I was doing a little reading last night about all of this. I found that just a fascinating little tidbit of information that I was like, huh, okay. I would have never connected those things, but here we are.
And I'm sure they're a fine organization. Personally,
Sure.
I hear that and I'm like, oh, you got to send them somewhere else. You
I
gotta send
know.
these dogs somewhere
And
else.
and the Big Dog Ranch is going to have a press conference later today in Madison to talk about this because, to your point, Brian, about 1,000 of those dogs are going to go directly to rescue care. Some others will be sent to partner shelters across the country. But one of the things that the ranch has already talked about is the rehabilitation process that's going to go into these dogs. They don't know how to be dogs. They literally don't know how to walk on anything but a wired kennel. And they've never been, a lot of times, had human touch other than when people have been running experiments on them. They haven't been vetted in any way, shape, or form. So they're going to have to go through the entire vetting process. Now, I also found it interesting that the facility actually is set to shut down their breeding operations on July 1st. And that comes after a legal settlement in 2025 that allowed the facility to avoid prosecution if it gives up its Wisconsin license. But despite that closure, the facility is still legally allowed to operate and sell dogs to research labs until that July 1st deadline.
Okay.
So there's still which is why the assumption is that they're going to keep a few hundred of those dogs available because they still will be able to operate as a research facility until July 1st.
Well, we're at May, so I know it's not
coming
not
quickly,
ideal.
though.
It's 8 weeks.
It is.
And there's a hard deadline. So you know, if this is one of the movements that you've been involved in protesting, you're passionate about it. There's progress.
Yeah.
And it does have an end. So
It's one
bright
of those
side, right?
Right, and it's one of those unfortunate situations, and we've talked about this before on the air. You know, this is one of those things where dozens of protesters broke into a private entity and there's been legal action against them, which then they sued the Dane County Sheriff's Department because they're saying that action that Dane County took was too aggressive. And then we get, I know you broke into a private facility. I mean, there's still laws
What are you
and
gonna
still
do?
rules,
Yes, you
right?
still.
You
I
still have to
understand how
follow law.
passionate you are about this
Right.
cause, but you do have to obey the law.
It's
And
a
whether you
weird
like
thing.
it or not, from all reporting, Ridgeland was obeying the law. Now you don't have to
Right.
like what they're doing. That's
Right.
fine. You can protest what they're doing. That's fine. Once you break the law, though, that's sorry.
Yeah.
You know.
It's going to be fascinating to see if with this July 1st deadline coming up, because we know that there was protests just as late March. There was some more again over this past weekend, to the point where then protesters ended up at sitting in front of Tony Evers' office asking him to do something. They are doing something, even
Yes.
if the timeline isn't moving as fast as you would like. And again, I totally understand. I've been involved in the rehabilitation of beagles coming out of research centers. It is not always pretty. I'll just be honest.
No,
It is so much work and it is so hard. And if you are a dog lover, to see an animal come to you, be wrapped in a blanket, even puppies, older dogs, and to see them wrapped in a blanket and shivering and so afraid and just this look of dejection in their faces. That is, if you're an animal lover, that is one of the most heartbreaking things you can possibly go through. And the fact that they've never had human attention, and when you get one of these dogs in your arms, which I've had, and they're wrapped in a blanket, and you want to let them know it's okay, for them to stiffen up in your arms because they've never felt that type of affection. It is heartbreaking. So I understand that you want this timeline sped up, but they're doing what they can.
Nothing goes
law.
fast.
No.
Especially when it comes to any sort of legal movement. Anytime it comes to some sort of certifications or changing policies, it takes a while. But 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick. I mean, that's.
I always tell friends who will say it's not moving fast enough. Well, yes, it's not an episode of Law and Order. It's just not, right? Like
Right.
It's
we don't
actual
solve
law.
everything in 45 minutes.
Right. But keep an eye on this one because there is light at the end of the tunnel. We are going to see some of these beagles make their way into shelters, be rehabbed, eventually probably find some really loving homes. And at the end of the day, that's the most that you can hope for, right?
And that's what you've been protesting for. That's what you've been pushing for. Let's change the subject for a minute.
Yes.
This came across.
Yes.
State Senator Andre Jacques is
breaking news.
Yeah, it is breaking. Do we have a breaking news sounder, Parker?
Do we have one somewhere?
Breaking news.
Thank you. That is it. Who says the budget on Daybreak is low? Not me. I've never said it. Are we getting money pumped into this program through corporate? All the time. All the time. Can we hear that again just to reset?
Breaking news.
There we go.
All right, there we go. State Senator Andre Jacques not seeking re-election. He's a New Franken Republican. He says he is not running for another term. Have you been keeping a tally board, Jamie, of how many Republicans in Wisconsin have decided for one reason or another, starting at the top with Robin Vos, are not seeking re-election?
I will have to do a full tally. I don't have it.
I think we're up to 5 or 6.
5 or 6, and it depends if you're looking at what house, because some houses have stepped back. Members of each house are missing certain members a little bit more. So I can do a quick tally during the commercial break, but that's easy to find. But it's interesting how quickly these resignations are coming.
Yeah,
right
he was
now.
if you're not familiar with Andre Jacques, he spent 8 years in the Assembly before being elected to the 1st District in the state Senate in 2019. So he's been along. Now, all right, let me play this game with you. Jamie, is he leaving to spend more time with family? Is he A, is B, to pursue other interests, or C, undisclosed?
Oh gosh, I haven't even read all the
I know,
way
that's
down,
why I'm
so this is a tough one. I'm going to say to pursue other interests because he's a younger man.
Very good. He said he'll
Okay.
work with a variety of nonprofits after he leaves office.
All right.
So
I
there you
do
go.
have the list here of people who have decided to
Yes.
step down at this point besides Andre Jacques. Obviously, we know Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu are both stepping down. We also have Steve Nass from Whitewater, Rob Hutton from Brookfield, Van Wangard from Racine, Jerry O'Connor from Fond du Lac. We have Rob Brooks, who's also stepping down from Saukville, Kevin Peterson from Wapaka, and also at this point, Rick Gundrum from Slinger. Those are the members of the Assembly or Senate who are stepping down at this point.
So with including Andre Jacques, that's 10.
10. All right.
10.
I thought we were getting close to double digits, but I didn't want to say it until I had a full count.
I didn't want to overshoot because I knew at one point it was 4, and then we had heard a couple more. So
Yes.
all right, so there's 10, including Andre Jacques, who just made this announcement this morning. 10.
All right. That is interesting because because of fairer maps in the state of Wisconsin, back to that conversation, the seats were already narrowing for Republicans. Democrats were in a good spot to pick up more seats. And so if you're keeping tabs on midterms, everyone, 10 seats up for grabs now. And what I would say, at some point you could probably say some of these were very safe Republican districts. If you watch the results of the Supreme Court race, nothing seemed to be safe based on those results.
Right. Well, we've talked about state senators. We've talked about voters' rights. We've talked about beagles. Why not a flaming dinosaur? That's right. We're going to get into this story. We'll have a little bit of fun just to cleanse the palate for hour number 1. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak.
I'm Jamie Martinson. It's 6:48 right now, and this is the Civic Media Network.
All right.
Sometimes we got to lighten things up a little bit.
Love flaming dinosaurs.
Have you
Hello,
seen the
I'm a
photos and
T-Rex.
video of this?
Wait, there's a...
Oh, Oh, there's video of it. It is scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Well, yeah, it's a 60-ton dinosaur.
Well,
What am I? Holy.
I was reading this the other day, and I was like, oh, I know exactly where that's at.
Oh, this.
Are you laughing? Are you laughing at the dinosaur
No, I'm
burning?
laughing.
Oh.
No, I'm
Why are you
laughing at
laughing, Parker?
I'm laughing at the skeleton of it after.
Oh,
the
yeah.
fire.
Oh, yeah. It's a sad, sad sight. It's so sad.
and especially right before tourist season,
Right? Well,
when everybody driving along Kansas is praying for something to do.
right? Otherwise, don't you have like Bob Dole's childhood home in Kansas? Isn't that where you can go tour?
Yeah, and they
believe-
sell commemorative pens.
Yes, they do.
I need the video.
What are the top tourist attractions in Kansas? I've been there, no shade on Kansas. There's just not a lot to do.
Where's Corn Palace is in one of the Dakotas, isn't it?
South Dakota. I was a tour guide there.
At Corn Palace?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I remember you saying
Multiple
that.
summers.
Kansas.
I'm looking. All right. So what do we got? What are the top tourist attractions? 23 unique things to do in Kansas.
Corn.
So you can
Said corn.
I'll move this over. I'm half off the page. You can do a hike at Little Jerusalem Badlands State Park. You can admire the Monument Rocks. There's a lot of rocks in this.
Wow.
You can visit a Swedish town. Look at fossils at an art gallery.
Man, or you could drive really fast.
You can
get
tour
out of
and
there.
you can tour or stay at a missile silo. Yikes!
I drank in a missile silo
You
in
could
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
There's a
You could-
brewery and a Nike
Well, that's kind of
facility.
cool.
It is very
You
cool.
can tour the only museum in an underground salt mine.
I learned about that for the Carson exhibit that I was building because that's where all the Carson archives are.
Okay.
Oh.
And
cool.
it's just a big storage area
Sure.
underground.
That's cool.
That was cool.
Explore the last remaining significant prairie in North America. Go hiking at probably Kansas's only lake, Wilson Lake. Again, been to Kansas. You can visit Castle Rock, which is just a big rock in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You can explore haunted underground tunnels. What else do we have on here? The largest collection of smallest replicas of world's largest things. Mushroom Rock.
Wait, the largest selection, the largest collection of the smallest replicas of the world's largest things.
That is
And
correct.
on that note,
Okay.
we have about 10 seconds.
Wow, and no reason to go to Kansas. Nothing about Dorothy?
Fairly solid and better than expected. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
It's 6:52 right now. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you want to be a part of our conversation, you can text or call us 1-855-752-4842. That's 1-855-75-CIVIC. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan, and it's that music will tell you life finds a way. Unless you're a 60-ton dinosaur in a Kansas theme park. We all know the storms, you got your side hustle, your other business must be jumping because for the
It's
last 6,
so
7
busy.
days,
So
storms ripping across the country.
Yeah, we have
Big
chasers
ones.
all across the country who have been out. They've seen some. Obviously, there's been some moments already this year in Oklahoma that you wish you could take back, and you hate Mother Nature at that moment in time. There's also been some really great storms just in open fields, which is what we
Yes.
do on our side hustle. Is what we always hope. Some really photogenic storms that don't do any damage to anything.
Well, one storm that blew through Derby, Kansas on Saturday night did a lot of damage
Yeah.
at the Field Station Dinosaurs theme park. 60-ton animatronic dinosaur was burst into flames because it was struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Yes. Do yourself a favor. If you've ever thought, man, I'd like to take a dinosaur at a barbecue. I'd like to pretend I'm the Fred Flintstone and I'm grilling up a dinosaur. Look for this because the Derby Fire Department put out the video.
Frightening.
It is really frightening. What's more frightening is just the skeleton just still standing
Yeah,
there.
it's very eerie, weird.
So about just before 8:30, the fire department put out a statement. They were called to multiple reports of a lightning strike and a dinosaur on fire. There's a call you do not get ever in your career. I'm guessing there's firefighters across this country who've retired after 40 years of service. Never once got the all engines, we have a dinosaur on fire. It was just consumed with heavy fire. It's a 3-story dinosaur. They were able to contain the blaze and keep it from spreading to other dinosaurs and the rest of the park. The dinosaur is the park's largest herbivore in the early Cretaceous period, with a total length of roughly 100 feet and weighing nearly 60 tons.
What I love is what a good sense of humor the fire department had about this, because on their Facebook page, they said that this is the first dinosaur fire Derby has experienced in 65 million years. So in the heart of all of this, I'm glad that somebody has a sense of humor. But if you watch the video, you almost expect this moment, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, of Jeff Goldblum just walking out of the smoke and parting the ways of it, because it is that the video is that crazy.
I kept waiting for the flaming dinosaur to just start moving. Like this is it was built on an ancient burial ground somewhere in Kansas, and now the spirits will come and they will animate the dinosaur, and this flaming dinosaur will take out the entire town of Derby.
It is a weirdly crazy, fascinating video. If you have a few minutes before you start your workday today, just do a quick search for Derby, Kansas dinosaur, and you'll see all sorts of things.
I don't know where Derby is in Kansas. I don't know what we were in the break. We were trying to figure out what there was to do in Kansas, and Jamie found a list. It's mostly hiking and rocks.
Yeah, there's a lot of rocks. I'm trying to.
There's no Wizard of Oz thing there. There's no big.
Oh yes, there's. Well, actually, a lot of those Wizard of Oz. Interestingly enough, I'm sure there are some in Kansas. I've never been. Some of the biggest Wizard of Oz places that you can visit. A lot of them are in Oklahoma, because I think people equate that to tornadoes more, which I think is also fascinating.
Kansas is where Dorothy was.
Exactly.
Kansas, she said, was the name of the star.
I'm trying to get. I'm on a map here looking to see. So Derby, Kansas. Let's see. Oh boy, it is basically. It would be north and a little west of Tulsa. That would be the closest major town next to it, and just south. I guess actually, there we go. Zooming in on my map as it comes into focus. Just south of Wichita. So it's kind of situated in that area. But really,
I lived in Wichita for a while. I was a lineman for the county. Good about it.
Glenn Campbell. What I love is I've been to Kansas several times. Obviously, storm chasing, we end up there frequently. It's been a hot second since I've been to Kansas, and it's a beautiful state if you love prairie. There's really not much to do there.
Prairie. It's a beautiful state if you love prairie and wide open space. I've been to Wichita a number of times, and Topeka, but
it's always weird to me, though, growing up in South Dakota, that landscape has never appealed to me because it's what I grew up with. I saw it all the time. I always found it fascinating working at the Corn Palace as a teenager and in early college when people would come from the East Coast who don't have that kind of open land, though, and haven't grown up with it. And they're just like, this is the most beautiful place on earth. And I remember I'd always look around going, really? This is okay. All right. Each their own. I'm not gonna tell you what you think is beautiful.
The first time I saw the Badlands, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Cool.
Or out in Utah where it's just, you're on the moon. It's like, this is the greatest, because you don't see it all the time. I still like getting out and seeing that. But
of course.
There's a point where it's like, all right.
Yeah.
If I'm seeing it from the driver's seat of my car and I'm flying along, I can appreciate it because I get to drive fast.
Right.
But after a while, it's like, all right.
The Badlands I will say that is actually, out of all of the things in South Dakota, the Badlands are actually my favorite part. I really, truly do love the Badlands. I think they're beautiful. I think they're amazing. If you ever get the chance to drive through there, go at sunrise or sunset, simply because the red and the orange of the Badlands picks up the colors of the sunset,
Yeah.
and then it almost looks like the entire Earth in that section has been like illuminated and with like an orange highlighter. It really is the coolest thing when you get to see it up close. It's beautiful, absolutely phenomenal.
I don't know how I've never asked you this as a South Dakotan. Your thoughts on Wall Drug?
Oh, please don't get me started. Please don't. We don't have enough time in this
How
show
do you
for
not
you
love Wall Drug and their 8 billion billboards?
signs and their ice cold water, folks.
Ice cold water. You can't. You listen. A guy gets parched in the Badlands.
There's not much between South Dakota to the Black Hills, so
Nope.
I get it.
All right, listen. When we come back, it's hour 2. It's headlines and a whole lot more. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak.
All right.
Wall drug. I have the most iconic photo when Max was like 2. We went to the Black Hills to see my family because a bunch of my family lives in the Black Hills. They own motels out there. They have ranches out there, all this kind of stuff. So we went out there to see some family. It was some family reunion, and we stopped at Wall Drug. And they have all of these like statues, right? Like these, some of them are wooden, some of them are like those fiberglass statues. And my dad was still alive, and he said to Max, he goes, we're sitting next to this one. It was a woman. She was supposed to look like a saloon, old-timey saloon girl. And my dad goes, "Can you give her a hug?" And Max reaches in and just grabs her boob. And we were like, my dad was like, "All right."
Nice job, Max.
It was like the most iconic photo ever.
Well, they had to shut down. There's a Molly Malone statue in Dublin, and Molly Malone in this bronze statue is very well endowed. They had to close it off over the summer last year because the breast area had been faded from all the people copying a feel from Molly Malone. Now, I saw the statue. I did not avail myself of a handful of Molly.
People, control yourself. My kid was 2. If you're a grown adult doing that, that's a whole different thing.
But even when I was there, you could see that it was like, how come those are different color?
There's one like that on a guy. I can't remember what it is.
What?
It's like an epitaph or something. I don't remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
fun.
the General Custer rest or big like store in Nebraska is trying to compete with Wall Drug, but not nearly the same.
Well, I get Wall Drug is interesting because literally after you leave Chamberlain and you get like 5 miles outside of Chamberlain along the river, Wall Drug is essentially like the next place you're going to run into. In fact, it's always funny when we worked at the Corn Palace, people would be like, "Oh, well, we'll stop in Chamberlain, and then I'm sure there'll be places to stop along the way." And we'd be like, "No, get everything you need, including like snacks. Make sure your car is full because there's nothing until you get to Murdo. Yeah. There's literally nothing until you get to Murdo, which is like 2 hours from Chamberlain."
That's something you really have to get used to if you're not, because there is nothing.
No,
people go, we're in the middle of nowhere. It's true. There is
You're
nothing.
literally in the middle of nowhere.
You can't believe there's roads.
Right.
It's like, who was brave enough to come out here and build these roads?
It's why the interstate system in South Dakota, you can go 85. Because it's simply, there's no curve. It's just
Why not?
straight. It's just straight. You don't
nap.
You can. If you have a self-driving car, you would be perfectly safe to do so on South Dakota roads. Wayward
I would
pheasants are
say
the
that
only thing
would
you
be the
look
same
out
for Nebraska.
Yes.
South Dakota, probably North Dakota, Montana.
Yeah, North Dakota. Yep. Oh, Montana's awful.
So.
Oh, God, Montana. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love the landscape of Montana.
Got to get me a Yellowstone ranch.
I remember going out there when Corey worked for the federal government for one of his quarterly meetings, and we got to a certain point, and I was like, are there like other people here? Do other people live in this state? Because I haven't seen anybody or another car in like 2.5 hours.
If they weren't so red, that would be my ideal setting.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's
Get real good internet
gorgeous.
and then just
And Billings is a cool town. That's where he always had to go for his meetings because that's where the big hub for the Department of Energy was.
It was there or Bozeman. There are only 2 options in Montana.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, right. No, there are certain states. Oklahoma is another one of those states, especially when you get out into like the western side of Oklahoma.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. It is like you just, and I get it. I get why, I get
What?
sometimes why people want to make fun of folks who live in those rural areas, because there are times I get out there and I'm like, you're driving 6-7 miles before you even see another human, or sometimes even more. It is not like, I like my space from people,
perfect.
but man, I don't know if I could be that far from civilization.
Well, pretty soon drones are going to be delivering everything, so it won't matter where you are.
This is true.
Come and drop all my stuff.
And it's so funny because we'll get some of those like really major tornadoes that will go through western Oklahoma. And that's actually where we hope they land, because there's a pretty
there's
good chance.
nothing- yeah.
There's nothing
Nothing.
there. It's not going to hurt usually anything.
No fear.
Like the one down by Ada that just hit the other night, and that was because that was near Moore. So you knew as soon as you saw those parameters come out that was either, if that tornado hit, it was going to be an epic issue. And it was.
Mm-hmm.
That whole town got basically obliterated again. But yeah, when we storm chase, it's crazy.
No,
And then trying to find places to eat or gas or motels
after
like when it's
6 o'clock.
Oh, we end up having to drive back like 5-6 hours sometimes, depending on where we're at or where the next day's parameters are going to be, because there's nothing.
Nothing.
That's so weird.
Now imagine driving to one of those tiny hamlets to do a stand-up show.
We've got 15 seconds.
Wisconsin wakes up here. Back to Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
7:06 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. We hope that your day is off to a great start. Cool temperatures today, a lot of sunshine though. So hopefully we can dry some things out across the state of Wisconsin. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Don't forget, we have some new social media pages. We'd love you to go and follow them on Instagram and Facebook. It is Daybreak with Brian and Jamie. You can download all our podcasts on Spotify. Same handle. Why would we change our name? That would be confusing. So it's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie there. If you want to watch the show as opposed to just listening to it, you're like, oh, their voices are so soothing and beautiful. I wonder what their faces look like. Well, then, by all means, YouTube and Facebook, we are streaming on both of those platforms every morning. So check that out. And yes, Parker, we do need to tell people to download the free Civic Media app.
Yes.
Because perhaps you're somewhere where you don't have access to the radio or your TV or your computer. Now you can take us everywhere. Invasive? Perhaps. But it's up to you to decide where you turn us on or where we turn you on.
We're just making you more informed individuals. That's
Right.
what we're trying to do.
Access is key, and information, knowledge is power, and all the other. Reading is fundamental. All the other platitudes. Time for some headlines from the Iran war. The United Arab Emirates announced Tuesday it will leave OPEC effective May 1st, stripping the oil cartel of one of its largest producers. While the announcement doesn't change anything regarding the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, it could help lower oil prices after the war if the UAE increases its production capacity. Brent crude oil traded over 50% higher than its pre-war price yesterday.
Also in headlines from the Middle East, the U.S. military said Tuesday in a social media post that it boarded and released a commercial ship in the Arabian Sea east of the Strait of Hormuz that was suspected of heading for Iran. The command said it has now redirected 39 vessels since the start of the blockade on ships going to and from Iranian ports.
And finally, Iran offered to end its chokehold on the strait if the U.S. lifts its blockade on the country and ends the war in a proposal that would postpone discussions on the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. That, according to two regional officials, U.S. President Donald Trump seems unlikely to accept the offer, however, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio appeared to rule out any deal that excludes Iran's nuclear program. And just a reminder, we did have a nuclear deal before, correct, Jamie?
Yes.
Okay.
A
And
very
the
good
strait was
one.
open?
It was, and with the
Okay.
nuclear deal, it was one that Iran was actually following, and there were inspections, and they were doing everything they needed to do to uphold that particular deal. So,
Well, then, by all means, let's go get them. All right, well, those are headlines from the war. Now let's turn our attention to other you need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
Yes. Well, speaking of the war, Pete Hegseth faces a second day of hearings today. He is going to get grilled again by Democrats on Capitol Hill. The senators are taking their shot at him today. They get their first opportunity to confront or praise the Pentagon chief over his handling of the war. If you watched any of his testimony in the House yesterday, depending on what side of the aisle the House member questioning him came from, he was either the second coming of every military genius known to man or the most inept goofball who needed to resign that you've ever run into. I'll let you decide which side you want to put him on. But Hegseth battled with Democrats and a few Republicans yesterday during a nearly 6-hour House Armed Services Committee hearing, where he faced sharp questioning over the war's costs in dollars, lives, and the diminishing stockpiles of critical weapons. And if you watched any of this, you saw he was as demure and full of courtesy and cooperation as all other Trump administration members that have had to testify in front of Congress. He was smug, he was arrogant, he was screaming at House members, but that's just Pete being Pete. The Armed Services Committee is going to hear a similar presentation on the Trump administration's 2027 military budget proposal, which would boost defense spending to a historic $1.5 trillion. Hegseth and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, will again stress the need for more drones, missile defense systems, and warships. They're now also likely to face tough questions about American troop levels in Europe after President Donald Trump yesterday leveled a new threat against NATO ally Germany, suggesting he could soon reduce the U.S. military presence in the country as he feuds with Chancellor Friedrich Merz over the Iran war. Sidebar, that came after a 90-minute phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. 90-minute phone call with Putin, the same Putin whose country was giving our troop placements to Iran. Just so
Ironic.
you know that. Yeah. I don't know if there's a connection. I'll let you decide. If the Senate hearing is similar to yesterday's in the House, Republican senators may focus on the details of military budgeting and voice support for the operation in Iran. Democrats, however, are expected to press for answers on strategy in the conflict. Now in a tenuous ceasefire and Hegseth's firing of top military leaders, he refused to answer questions on how much longer the war would last or how much more it would cost. When questioned about that, he immediately made Representative Ro Khanna was questioning him about the cost, and instead of answering, he just kept shouting, "What is the cost of Iran having a nuclear weapon? What is the?" But then he also said that their nuclear capabilities had been obliterated,
Right.
contradicting himself. So it has been same old song and dance for anybody
It's always a
testifying
show.
from the administration.
It's a show. That's
Yes.
essentially what it is.
Very performative.
Their testimony usually has little substance or fact based with it, and because a lot of this administration is unqualified to hold the positions that they do. He was a weekend Fox anchor, right? That's what Pete Hegseth did. I mean, let's be realistic. He has some time in the National Guard, and he was a weekend anchor on Fox News. That is his qualifications for being in charge of the Department of Defense. So when you have to sit in front of senators and representatives who are fully prepared, who have fully analyzed, who understand the budgets, who understand the military, and they start asking you questions, it simply evolves into some sort of performance art, is what happens.
Yes, and because every time he was asked about, gas prices prior to the war and now, he would just scream, "More in California, more in California." It's like, all right,
what?
You're a child. You're a child. You're a not serious person. You are unqualified. You are ill-informed.
Right.
And you are nothing but another lapdog for the president.
I mean, it essentially goes back to the same arguments, and this is why, as this administration started rolling out the cabinet and wanting for the confirmations, why some Republicans who eventually did confirm these cabinet members, but a lot of Democrats had so many reservations because it was because of these conversations right here. They knew exactly what this was going to look like, and that while some of these cabinet members may have been qualified to do something in the administration, they were probably very unqualified to be the head of some sort of cabinet and department. And that's essentially what we're seeing. Yeah. And I'm just, here's the thing. I remember when Senate hearings used to be boring and nobody used to tune into them. And I really miss those days. Like, I miss those days when it wasn't theater and nobody was talking about Senate hearings because those are just a normal process of government.
And even when they were contentious, there was no screaming and yelling and demonstrative stupidity. It was just debate.
Right.
But we don't have that because to debate both sides need to have their facts. Both sides need to be well informed. And in these cases, one side is well informed, and whether you agree with the Republicans on the committees or not, they're informed. The Democrats are informed. The people from this administration that sit before those committees are not. They have a list of talking points, and God forbid you go any deeper with your questioning, you will expose them as the dolts that they are.
And they always come in, and this is fact because photographers have gotten photos of them while in the room. They always come with a list of talking points in big bullets,
and who they're going to yell at, targets.
And these are proven facts. These are photos that have been proven to be sitting on the table in front of these cabinet members during these processes. And this is just how this administration works. But yeah, I miss boring government. I miss boring government when they were just operating and we would get mad about a few different things. That's what I miss. But
those times are long gone.
They are.
Any other S we need to know?
Yes, there is a few things. In fact, we got to bring it right back here to South Dakota, going back to my childhood roots because we were talking about that. Back to Wisconsin. The federal government is suing the state of Wisconsin. It's in response to a lawsuit that Wisconsin filed last week. Attorney General Josh Kaul is going after companies state officials believe are exploiting loopholes around gambling. Now, the lawsuit names 5 companies, including Kalshi, Polymarket, Robinhood, and Coinbase. Kaul says because those prediction markets let people make investments tied to the outcome of sporting events, it's basically a way around sports gambling laws. However, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission says, probably didn't know that was actually a thing, says that it is already regulating those companies. The agency argues Wisconsin's lawsuit is now interfering with federal law. The commission has filed similar lawsuits in response to actions other states have taken, including New York and Arizona. Okay, so here's my question. If this lawsuit is going to interfere with federal law, then why isn't federal law doing something to
regulate it?
They're right?
Regulating.
Well, that would be based on what the title of the commission is. You would think that that's what they were doing. Doesn't really seem like that's happening considering what we're having. And this goes beyond sports betting, right?
It's everything. We talked about this
the war, right? When bombs were going to drop in Iran.
Well, and it goes back. We talked about this last week when Josh Kaul filed this lawsuit, and it does the semantics that the companies are using, that they're not a bet, they are a contract and a predictive thing. It's very much I did not have sex with that woman kind of semantics. You know, so we're trying to they're parsing their words very carefully. But yes, you can bet because you are betting. You're betting. Placing a wager.
You're betting to win money.
Right. So you can do it for everything. Everything. And that's why we're coming into, we had the Special Forces soldier arrested last week because somehow he made a lot of money betting that Maduro would be out of Venezuela by a certain date. Yeah. And what do you know?
Turns out that might have known a thing or two and actually cashed in fairly big on that one. So,
which is probably what they're saying. Well, look, we are regulating. We're finding things, irregularities, but
it's weird. We also can't trace who those people are, how they're getting their information, and where the money is coming from. Weird. That's not really regulation in my book, but what do I know?
And it's because we know Attorney General Josh Call, he's not putting up with anything. He's filing lawsuits all the time. So, all right, let him come, let him see. I would imagine maybe it's part of that intimidation move where you, all right, well, we're going to sue you back. Okay, sue me back.
More performance theater, perhaps?
It's all kabuki. This whole government is kabuki, which is a show, which leads us to showbiz, which leads us to Swipe or Stay. It's 6 degrees of Swipe or Stay. Here on Daybreak, I'm Brian Noonan.
I'm Jamie Martinson. This is the Civic Media Network.
Wow.
I'll get a segue out of something.
Somehow, some way.
I will cobble together a segue and a tease. Can't stop me. I'm a professional.
Can't be stopped.
Can't stop, won't stop, Frank. You know that. Frank, I got a bottle of Wild Turkey Rare Breed the other day at Costco. Had one the other night. It's delicious.
Crack that bad boy open.
I did. I was like, no, I'm tired of buying them and just looking at them.
Yeah, that seems, yeah.
I only have one bottle I haven't cracked open yet.
I have the antique I have not cracked open.
You haven't?
No.
You gave
this
me
weekend.
so much grief for not cracking it open as soon as I bought it.
I know, but I do as I say, not as I do. No, I said to Debbie, this weekend we're going to crack it open.
Love it.
Because I want her to try it too. She tried the Rare Breed. It's really good, but that 117 proof, you could tell it's got some. Even for a guy who doesn't have a sense of smell, get that glass right up by your nose. It's like, oh, the gas can is in the house.
I mean, even
it's so smooth going down. It's like, what?
I had one of my friends over this past weekend, and he hadn't had either the Weller Special Reserve or the Antique. So we did a sip of each, and it's a step up, even just that. So.
Oh yeah. No, and the nice thing is, like, if I want to pour during the week, that's 2 ounces. I know that's all I'm going to drink. Unlike a beer where sometimes if I'd have one, I'd like, all right, well, I can have a second one. And that's as far as I go, like, during the week. But it's nice to try them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm tired of, I don't want to be a collector. I want to.
All right. We got 10 seconds here.
Whatever, Parker.
Man, he starts talking about stuff he doesn't like.
Let's break out of the bubble and see what's happening out there in pop culture. It's Swipe or Stay on Daybreak.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is 7:22, and it is time for Swipe or Stay. This is where we put the politics aside for just a few minutes, and we talk a little bit more about pop culture with our senior producer, Frank. How are you today?
I'm doing great. And Jamie, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you have not read about any of the stories that we have today.
I actually
Why,
haven't.
did you make them up?
No, because it is a slow news day in pop culture. So,
see, and I will. I'm surprised to hear that. I saw a number of headlines this morning that I breezed right by. I didn't even read them, but I saw a name and I was like, nope.
I was tied up with so many things yesterday that I did not have a chance to even try to avoid anything. I just had to avoid everything. So I'm excited to hear what you have for us today.
Well, good. Everybody, welcome into Swipe or Stay. I'm going to read some pop culture headlines, and Jamie and Brian are going to have to decide to either stay and hear more or swipe on to the next one. In the event of a tie, producer Parker gets to be the tiebreaker. Story number 1, pop star's ex-boyfriend speaks out to clear his name.
Oh, this could be
Normally I would swipe on this, but since Frank said it was a slow day, I'm sure he doesn't have a lot on the bench. So I'm going to stay.
We'll stay on this.
I don't want to
Well,
put
yeah,
my
Your
short.
pity stay.
Yeah, it's a pity stay. 100%
It's a
pity stay.
We'll help you out today.
Throw you a
Thanks,
bone,
guys.
Frank. What do
So
you
we
got?
have finally heard from Barry Keoghan about his split with Sabrina Carpenter. Now, Keoghan was accused of cheating on Sabrina. However, that was an unconfirmed rumor. And his accused side chick did make a video at that time denying it. However,
Is that her
people
official title?
The accused
Side chick?
Accused,
Okay.
accused side chick?
side
Accused side
piece.
chick.
Yes,
Okay,
I think
all
that's
right.
it.
All right.
All right.
So he just appeared on a podcast this past weekend and said, I'm not asking for people to become my fan and like me because that's not normal either, but I'm asking for people to stop assuming and also just stop jumping on this narrative and attacking me and dragging me down in any way you can, involving my parents who are no longer with me. Just
Wow.
absolutely disgusting and vile. There's videos on TikTok literally going, I hate him. I mean, he's got a point. Fans take
relax.
things just a little too far.
The online bullying thing is a problem, right?
It is.
Other than like Justin Bieber, because we see this kind of fierce devotion from fans of Beyonce and Taylor Swift and Sabrina
Yeah.
Carpenter. Do we see that for male celebrities? Are there groups of women who are that, or men fans? Like, it doesn't matter.
I think there's a strong faction of people that right now, actually, this is a really good point you bring up, Brian. Right now, the internet's split between Michael Jackson defenders and people pointing out a lot of flaws with the new movie.
Sure. Well, yeah.
Sure.
So that's one male artist. I think Chris Brown also has
Yeah.
a sector of
Okay.
fans that really defend him. But you're right. For the most part, male artists don't really get that. And Barry Keoghan's an actor, so I
Yes,
think
Yeah.
he's an actor.
people just disassociate him with his roles.
Back to Chris Brown several years ago when that whole Rihanna dust up came and where she ended up with a black eye. It was appalling even then how many people defended him in that moment, saying that, she probably was to blame and,
Right.
he's got a temper and
Crazy.
she shouldn't. It was so weird. I was like, okay. That was
Yeah,
not
with-
the reaction I expected.
With the cancel culture in effect, you would think Chris Brown would be towards the top of that list. However, he's
Right.
going on
Nope.
tour with Usher right now. So.
Yep. So there you go.
Lonely Island star reveals the SNL host that made him uncomfortable. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Lonely Island is a comedy troupe that did all the
Yeah.
digital shorts during like the mid 2000s.
Oh, I like a good SNL story. I'll stay.
Yeah, I'll stay. Why not?
All right, any guesses on
On the
who the
host?
host was?
That made the Lonely Island crew uncomfortable.
Yes.
Host.
It's got to be. It's got to
Wow.
be a. Well, I don't. No,
I don't. I
host could be funky. Emma
Yeah,
Stone.
I-
I'll just say Emma Stone.
It is not Emma Stone.
Okay.
Jamie, any guesses?
Oh gosh, no, I don't have any guesses.
All right. Well, Jorma Taccone, one of the boys of the popular Lonely Island comedy troupe, they're the guys that made I'm on a Boat, has revealed which host it was, and it was Kevin Spacey.
Oh,
Go figure.
I get it. All right.
I forgot that he'd even hosted.
He didn't go into specifics about why he made him uneasy,
Oh, I
but
think
just
we know.
said for
Oh.
some reason he felt the vibe was off.
I think we know. I don't think they need to give any details.
All
If you've
right.
paid any attention to the Spacey story, you know why the vibe was off.
Right. As Jamie alluded to, Spacey's been tied to multiple sexual assault allegations over the years, though he was cleared in a 2023 criminal trial in London.
Still canceled, though.
Do we have time for one more,
Yes,
Parker?
let's do one more, Frank.
Amazon looks to reboot The Apprentice,
Oh God.
and they do have a host in mind.
All right, listen. I'm going to stay just because I'm hooking Frank up. I don't like both of
Oh,
those
thanks,
names.
man.
Amazon
Thanks
or
for
The
doing me a
Apprentice.
solid.
Parker
I'm
is
always
already in
got your back.
shambles today. I don't want him to make any hard decisions, so we'll stay.
Thank you.
So the Wall Street Journal has reported that Amazon is discussing a potential reboot of The Apprentice, the show once hosted by Donald Trump before becoming the president twice. Talks are reportedly in the early stages as the reboot isn't in active development. However, the person that they are eyeing for the role is Donald Trump Jr. To carry on in his father's footsteps.
Pass. Swipe.
What do
I
you
don't
mean
even wanna-
swipe? You already said.
Nothing.
I know. I want to go back. I want to
Nothing?
retroactively go back and swipe. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to have heard
say
that.
about that. Why? Never mind.
Because why not? But we don't like Nepo babies. Just remember that. No Nepo babies. Ugh.
Wow.
Well,
That's
Frank,
Swiper State today, guys.
Thank you.
Because we're
Thank
running
you.
out of time. You're
you've
welcome.
left us with a horrible taste in our mouth.
I know. Cheers.
Enjoy your fancy coffee cup.
Get your pinky
All right.
out there.
I will.
When we come back, we are going to relive the Supreme Court's decision yesterday with the senior director from the Center for American Progress. I'm Brian Noonan. She's Jamie Martinson. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
All right. And it looks like we have already got Devin here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Devin.
How are y'all?
Good. How are
Great.
you?
Thank you for
All
joining
right.
us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. It's hombres, correct?
Correct. You got it.
Perfect.
First try.
Better to ask ahead of time and then be correct than stumble through it a bunch of times.
There's only 30 of us in the country, so it's not common.
Really? You know that? You've got the number?
I was going to say, how do you know?
I like this is just my Facebook research,
Oh, okay.
but the only people with the last name are
that's
three
probably
brothers that came over in 1911, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Yeah.
All right. That is interesting. So we got how much time, Parker, before
we
get
got
started?
4 minutes
4
until
minutes,
we're back.
4 minutes. And then we'll get into the whole thing. As
And it's a
cheery
whole
as it
thing.
is.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Sadly, when it came down, I was like, that checks. Like I wasn't actually
You were more
surprised.
upset that you weren't expecting it today or yesterday.
I actually, that was the thing. I actually thought this would be one of their dump and run decisions, right? Like right before they go to recess, where they always push out a big one and then they just disappear.
I wish it was, and now it's just a zoo.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know who Vladeck is. He's one of the luminaries on the left for constitutional scholars, and he just put up a big. They are who they thought we were. We are who they are. Who we thought they were. From like Denny Green back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's who they are.
Yeah,
But-
we've said sometimes, every once in a while they've made a few decisions where you go, oh, maybe they're not just a mouthpiece.
Loyalists. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, they argument on TPS for Haitian refugees yesterday happened, and they may give the president the authority just to unilaterally end TPS for whomever he wants.
Which I think is fascinating because doesn't Amy Coney Barrett have children
Yes.
she's adopted from Haiti?
I possibly, I'm not.
Yeah, she does. She's one of those conservatives who will vote against their own needs and their own self-interest.
she might come on the side of the liberals, but
it could be a 5-4 decision or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it takes 5. It takes 5 to get there.
It's just, I don't know. Yeah. They throw a bone and then where you're like, oh, look at them. They do know how to actually read the law. And then they do this.
And then they do what they did yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well.
You guys are up early. Wow.
We're reminded of that every morning, Devin.
Every day when I watch the sunrise, I think, man, it's early.
Oh, man, it's
Today
early.
I was watching the sun come up over the Capitol driving, and I was like, oh, well, here we are.
What a beautiful sight.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah, I actually took some pictures of the Capitol this morning because I got
Oh, it's
stopped at a
beautiful.
stoplight. Yeah.
There was like this weird, because it's a little humid because of the little bit of the rain we had last night, and it's still very cool. So there was a little bit of a haze over it this morning with the sun coming up behind it. So it was very beautiful. Coming straight down East Washington this morning, looking right at it. So. Yeah. And then there was a weird thing. I pulled up to the stoplight. Because of how Madison is situated, everything is a roundabout around the Capitol. So you can only go one way around most of it. And as I pulled up to the stoplight to take my turn to come downtown, because from our studio windows I can see the Capitol, there was a convoy of about 6 big black Suburbans coming from the Wisconsin Capitol. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I'm sure it was nothing in Wisconsin, but you don't usually see a convoy of 6 Suburbans either at sunrise coming from the Wisconsin Capitol. It was fascinating.
That's weird.
All right, we've got about 20 seconds until we get going here. Devin, just so you know, when we get down to our last couple of minutes, I'll give you hand signals, how many minutes we have left. And if you start to hear music, that means we just have a couple of seconds left, so we have to wrap it up.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, awesome, thank you. We'll get going in 10 seconds.
Local news, community stories, and the conversations that matter most. Now, more Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday morning. Cooler temperatures today. Lots of sunshine, though. We'll take it because we can use a little dry out in the state of Wisconsin. It's 7:35 right now. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And thanks for being here. I'm Brian Noonan. Yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court's conservative majority handed Republicans their biggest victory yet in the perpetual battle to control the House of Representatives and state houses across the country. The 6-3 ruling effectively gutted the Voting Rights Act's requirement that districts be drawn to give minority voters a chance to elect representatives of their choosing. Joining us now to discuss the court's decision and the impact it will have is Devin Ombres. He's Senior Director of Courts and Legal Policy for the Center for American Progress. Devin, thanks for being here this morning. We appreciate your time. Can you give us a little background on the case that led to the court's decision yesterday and the legal basis for the decision that they made?
Sure. Louisiana versus Calais has been going on for several years at this point. And the court actually heard the case last year and decided to punt again to this year with a new question. It came down because Louisiana, after the last census, redrew their districts in a way that a lower federal court found violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, because Louisiana has about 33% of their population are Black people. And they only had one district that was majority minority controlled for Congress. And so the court said, this is unconstitutional under the Voting Rights Act. You have to redraw it. And so they redrew a second map. And about 3 years ago, this very Supreme Court said that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is constitutional. We're not going to rejigger the rules. And so based on that, that's why the map was redrawn to get a second majority minority district. 3 white people said that this is discriminatory against us and sued the state. The state defended it. Last year, they defended it. And then the court said, we're not going to rule on this. We're going to punt till next year, rework the question and heard it again. And this time they said, oh, no, wait, even though the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is amended in 1982, says that it is discriminatory effect that matters, we're going to change all of the law, all of the originalist tinkering, all of our analysis on this, and say that you must prove discriminatory intent in drawing lines for congressional and state legislative maps, and turn everything on its head, our originalism, the Constitution, the very law itself.
Jamie, I'm sorry. Let me jump in on this, please. Because if that's the case, who was being discriminated against in this Louisiana case? Those 3 people, and they proved they were able to prove that. How do they prove that they're being discriminated against? Were they in those districts? This is what I don't get. For the Supreme Court to reverse themselves, and show that there had to be intent to discriminate, where was that intent?
They didn't even take up that question. They didn't even answer it on that question. And also, I'm 99.99999% sure that the Voting Rights Act wasn't written in a racially neutral manner. It was intended to prevent white folks from discriminating against Black and brown folks. Right. So this is basically reversing every argument made under the 14th, 15th Amendments and the VRA. And these three white folks said, no, you're actually discriminating against us. But the court didn't even touch that in this decision. They said that Section 2 of the VRA does not require proportional representation. So even though more than a third of Louisiana's population is Black, the VRA doesn't require that they have to have 2 out of 6 districts represented by districts where a majority of the voters or a large percentage of the voters are Black. And therefore, the state can gerrymander based on politics, and race doesn't. They're almost saying that race doesn't matter anymore in gerrymandering. It's a very weird and technical decision, but they say that Black people vote for Democrats, but we're gerrymandering on the basis of partisanship, not race. And therefore, the fact that they're Black and vote for Democrats doesn't matter. We get to gerrymander anyway.
Devin, I want to take a step back for just a moment, because for anybody who's listening to this morning and completely appalled, but doesn't really understand maybe the history or the context of this, explain to us in the simplest terms what essentially the Voting Rights Act did and why it started essentially. Because I think that's being missed for a lot of people in some of this, because this Louisiana case has been going on for so long at this point.
I mean, so the Voting Rights Act was passed in the 1960s because Black people in the South were incredibly discriminated against post-Reconstruction with Jim Crow. I think in Mississippi, 6% of the Black population was registered to vote. And there were poll taxes, there was violence, there was blatant discrimination. And Congress finally said, we recognize that this is a major problem and we need to fix it. And so they created Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act that said that required districts that had previously discriminated against to draw lines that were racially appropriate, so that Black people and brown people could have a chance of electing their preferred representative. And that got struck down 10 years ago. Justice Roberts wrote the opinion on that. And at the time, Justice Ginsburg said, you're throwing away your umbrella in the rain. This has worked. And we're getting rid of it. And that's exactly what they're doing again. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act has allowed representation, allowed Black and brown people to vote for the people they prefer. And this is, again, throwing the umbrella out in the rain, because it is projected that Southern states could redraw up to 25 Black and brown majority districts out of Congress. They could draw out over 191 state legislative districts. And they can do it in ways that they say that this Supreme Court now says, if you say it's based on partisanship and not on race, that is perfectly permissive. And the only way that you can prove that it's a violation of Section 2 is if somebody writes an email that says, we are only doing this based on race. That's the only thing that will allow, or that will prove evidence that violates Section 2. It's just absolutely wild.
If they're redrawing it allegedly on just partisanship, how do you account for people of the other party in that state who now have no representation, whether they're Black or white? If you're in a Republican state and they're drawing all the districts to favor Republicans, where's someone supposed to go if they live in that state?
Well, the Supreme Court 4 or 5 years ago in a case called Rucho said that partisan gerrymandering, though unconstitutional, is not justiciable, which means we can't touch it. We're not allowed to discuss it. So the only way to overcome that is just sheer masses to the polls And let's see, Louisiana has already delayed their primaries based on the decision yesterday so that they can redraw their maps. Florida passed yesterday.
Yes, they were ready.
They
drew
were ready.
4 Democrats out of Congress.
Oh my gosh.
Yesterday. But the kicker is, I think you've seen some discussion about this. It's called dummy mandering, where you draw so many seats in your favor that it dilutes even your voting base, and you could end up losing more seats than you intended. So I think there is a concern among folks in Texas. There is a concern among Republicans in Florida that these new districts are so skewed as to really limit the voting base in those states and in potential wave years, which 2026 could be, as gas is now passing $4.50 a gallon, and companies are getting billions of dollars in tariff rebates, but the American people are not. That people are fed up, and and independence could break the opposite way, and you could see a very, very high turnout among Democrats, and it could end up backfiring. So, I mean, that's the hope, but it takes a lot more effort to overcome that when you have to overcome 3-4 point deficits in every district, as opposed to actually having districts where people are, where there's a battle of ideas and people get to select their representatives rather than representatives getting to select their voters, which is exactly what's happening now.
We're talking with Devin Ombres. He is the Senior Director of Courts and Legal Policy for the Center for American Progress, AmericanProgress.org, if you want to check out some of his work. We're already seeing this tit for tat in redistricting, right? We've seen this nationally. Is this, in your opinion, going to, and you already mentioned Florida being on the ready yesterday. We've talked a bit about some of the other states. How is this going to accelerate that trend? And for the midterms coming up in November, some states are probably somewhat safe, but what does this look like beyond for 2028's presidential election in your mind?
So for folks way smarter than me have already opined on this, but for 2026, Georgia, Tennessee, potentially Missouri could redraw. For most of the other states, it would require rerunning an election, and that's gonna be a hot mess if that happens, and it's gonna be really hard to do. But in 2028, in 2030, it is going to it could really skew the way that Congress is made up, because it's going to give all the other southern states the ability to redraw. And then you're going to see a race on the left in blue states to completely redraw. And I think we could all just disarm. Democrats in Congress have been pushing for a national ban on partisan gerrymandering for a decade. I wrote about this a decade ago and how it can actually be functionalized. And all the Democrats have voted for it. We've been putting it up. They've been putting it up a long time ago. The Republicans have not. And it would nice to be able to see a real battle of ideas rather than a battle of who can draw the best maps. So it's really going to screw up congressional representation and state legislative representation, especially in the South, moving forward.
So before we let you go, Devin, to make that happen, what you said, the federal ban against gerrymandering, it would just take some Republicans to come over and vote for it, along with the Democrats. That it's the blueprint is in place to change this, so we can put an end to all this.
It's been in place for a long time, but you need some bipartisan support, especially in the Senate. And folks in the Senate recognize that they have that, it's in their own interest not to do it, because power seeks power, and that's what they're doing.
What do we have for time here,
Parker? Got about a minute.
About a minute left. I don't want to throw a big question at you, Devin, but with about that minute left, what is a misconception right now as people listen to this coverage and how this plays out? What is some sort of misconception that you want to make sure people understand about what's happening right now that maybe they're not getting the full grasp of right now?
Sure. I think the one thing that people need to understand is that this Supreme Court is incredibly partisan, and Justice Roberts and Justice Alito have been fighting their entire careers to end the Voting Rights Act. and that the only way out of this, the only way to actually bring about a stable, multicultural, and true democracy is Supreme Court reforms. That's where we need to be looking. Supreme Court reforms 100%. And I think gerrymandering, there's two original sins in this country: slavery, gerrymandering. You get rid of gerrymandering and a lot of things improve.
Well, Devin, thanks so much for joining us. Devin Ombres is the Senior Director of Courts and Legal Policy at Center for American Progress, AmericanProgress.org. Have a great day, Devin. This is the Civic Media Network.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. It's funny that you mentioned the Democrats because we're running into the same thing on the statewide level here. Tony Evers wants to get rid of gerrymandering completely. And he has called for a special session. About 2 weeks ago, the Republicans gavelled in. Now, mind you, Robin Vos has stepped down. He's not running again. Neither is the Senate Majority Leader, LeMahieu. Gavelled him in. They wouldn't do anything. Democrats stayed, Republicans all left, gavelled in the next day, same thing. And they say that they're willing to negotiate, but they just don't think the plan does enough yet. It's not what it is.
I think getting rid of gerrymandering or gerrymandering the hell out of the state so Democrats run.
Getting rid of it. Getting rid of it. He wants like permanent, fairly drawn maps across the board. And now the Supreme Court in the state is 5-2, so he knows that it would stand.
Yeah.
But
well,
the Republicans won't.
Frankly, that's what I want too, but I'm not going to bring a butter knife to a gunfight.
Right.
And that's
exactly.
that's what happens.
Yeah. So, but it was interesting you brought it up because it's the same battle we're having here on a local level right now.
Yeah. No,
So-
I'm not. I was not on team expand the court. I was not on team get rid of gerrymandering until this year. Like, I'm a good governance kind of guy, but at this point, screw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about time we start fighting the way they do. Devin,
Absolutely.
thanks again for
Thank
being
you
here,
so
man. That
much.
was great. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys. I appreciate it.
Talk
Have a
to you
good
again.
day. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right.
Devin's fantastic.
Yeah, that was
Very
really good.
knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable guy.
I like how he was like, people smarter than me, and then he used the word opine.
Opined.
It's like, dude.
They planted trees? I thought we were talking about voting.
I didn't want to ask such a basic question, but there's a lot of people who don't understand what the VRA even did, or how it
No, I
started,
didn't.
right?
No,
So
you got to
I
lay
totally
out
didn't.
that stuff.
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't follow it as
Right.
close as, you know.
right.
No.
And why this is such a big deal and why we even had it in the first place, because it
It's
essentially
just
made
so
voting
the
fair.
blacks can vote.
Ugh.
Huh? No, not really. Not at all. Oh, boy.
Just love that that's where everybody's first thought and instinct goes.
Well, because you tie it in with the Civil Rights Act, and
Right.
you know,
Yes.
and John Lewis, and then Bush signing the extension, and
But people also forget civil rights wasn't just about black and brown. It was also about people with disabilities. And I mean, it was an expansive group of people.
yeah, but we don't see black and white photos of police dogs attacking
I know.
somebody in a wheelchair.
I know.
All right. We got 15
Not yet, anyway.
seconds.
From Lake Superior to Lake Michigan, this is Wisconsin's Morning Conversation. Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
7:52 right now. We hope that you are having a great Thursday morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. What do you look forward most to at the state fair as far as
Food.
what you're eating and drinking? Yes, that is the key. Man, there are so many treats. And yesterday, the state fair rolled out their finalists for the Sporkies and Drinkies. And
Love
if you're
it.
new to Wisconsin and you maybe say, what? Sporkies and Drinkies are the highlighted award-winning food and drinks. Sporks, you know, because you use a spork. And
Right.
drink. If I have to explain what drinky means to you, I don't want to hang out with you. You and I are not going to be friends. But the 4 Drinkies and 8 Sporky finalists are from a wide collection of vendors, both new to the state fair and returning contenders. The winner will be chosen by a panel of local celebrity judges on August 4th. One day I hope to be part of that panel.
Sounds like a dream gig, doesn't it?
It sounds great. And it's not just for bragging rights. They say, according to the longtime MC from WISN 12 TV in Milwaukee, it can bring in as much as $150,000 in surge business for the place that wins in the Sporkies and Drinkies. And I always try, because all the years I've been working in Wisconsin, I always then try to find the Sporkies and Drinkies when I get to the fair.
Oh, yeah, it's super
because I've
fun.
made my list.
It's like
I'm
a
like,
mission.
okay,
It's like a scavenger hunt at that point.
yes, and I'm always looking. So there's some good ones, Jamie. There's
Do you have, I know we're going to talk about this list, but just going off of what we have, starting with the Sporkies, was there one of these that just caught your attention and you're like, oh, I am on a hunt come fair time?
Yes, I want the Bayou Crunch Cup from the
Okay.
Exotic Meat Grill. It's fries, Cajun coleslaw, and alligator nuggets with breaded crawfish bites and a whole crawfish.
That sounds
I love to
amazing.
suck the head. Parker, that's a term, not a euphemism. That's a real term.
It
if
is a
you
real
eat
term.
crawfish, anybody
Yes.
who's had crawfish or mud bugs, you suck the head.
I'm just looking at his face.
Have you ever seen a crawfish?
on the radio?
You can, because that's what
an
you do. You
actual
break the
term.
crawfish in
Never heard
half,
that.
Yeah.
you eat the meat out of the tail, and then
you
Yes.
suck what's out of the head.
you
yeah.
suck the juice out the head.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
All right.
all right.
All right.
I'm learning.
Yes.
Your day has been in shambles
My
already.
day.
You're living in a box. You're covering up windows with cardboard, and now you're learning about.
Now you're afraid that I have violated FCC rules, which I have not. I was not
Don't
saying
get a
that
dump
for prurient interests. I was saying that because that's how you eat crawfish. I also want to get the El Pastor pizza from Charlie's
Oh yeah.
Pizza.
Oh no, I was looking at that too. That sounds amazing. I'm always going to go with something a little bit more sweet, so I looked right away at the sweet lemon berry cheese curds from from the Saz's Barbecue. Ellsworth Creamery white cheddar cheese curds, fried and tossed in a cinnamon sugar mix before
Okay.
being finished with a sweet raspberry sauce and a side of sweet lemon zest cream whip. Which
All right.
hello, that sounds amazing. That's like savory and dessert all in one. I can get down with that.
It does sound really good, and I'm going to wash it down with a Tilta Spirits Old Fashioned Sipper Club offering. It's ruby, grapefruit, and key lime
Yeah.
juices combined with ginger beer and finished in a smoke box with hickory and torched rosemary.
That sounds amazing.
So it's very good, doesn't it?
It does sound very, very good. I also think the hot honey chicken lemonade from deep fried mashed potatoes on a stick sounds really
Me
good.
so hungry.
Lemonade
So hungry
sweetened
now.
with Mike's hot honey and garnished with 2 chicken nuggets for your drinking pleasure.
Not one, but two.
Well, this is nice because then maybe you've had Sporkies and Drinkies all day, but you're still a tiny bit peckish while you're
Yes.
thirsty. You go, I have a beverage and a small snack.
Yes.
And I can now make my way to the end of the
You're
fairgrounds.
going to love this. Mr. Plow King chiming in on our YouTube chat says, these options sound way better than the bowl of mini wheats I'm having for breakfast.
Yeah, Mr. Plowking, I don't doubt it. And listen, that's no shade on your mini wheats, but come on.
I love
a
some
Tingo
mini wheats.
Tango Chicharron from
Right?
which is crispy honey habanero pork rinds topped with chicken tinga, pickled red onions, queso fresca, cojita cheese, sweet and spicy candied jalapenos, and French cilantro.
Or how about some a cookie butter coffee float, vanilla ice cream with cookie butter infused iced coffee combined in a Biscoff cookie rimmed cup, and then topped with cookie butter drizzle in a Biscoff cookie? I mean, come on, that Biscoff cookies are amazing. I love them on my
Yes, they
Delta
are.
flights, but like that, come on, I'm down.
There's a lot of in the Sporkies, a lot of focus on sort of Mexican or South American food, which I
Yeah, I
like.
love that too.
My only fear is 100-degree day at the fair, eating a lot of spicy foods.
You're gonna be really sweaty.
Yeah, it's going to be it could be uncomfortable.
That's why you go in
but,
the evening, right? Like go in the evening, sun
That's true.
starts to set, then it's not quite as sweaty. It's still a little warm, so you still feel like you can go get your Tilta Spirits from the Sipper Club. But at the same time, it's not quite as sweaty because the sun's not beating down on you.
Jamie,
You
I'm
got to
gonna
plan
bring-
these things out.
I'm going to bring up I'm going to bring up one more Sporky that's going to have Parker
Okay.
panicked. Deep fried horchata balls from Badger Bites. The description is, Parker, these balls are
These
topped
sound
with
amazing.
cinnamon sugars, drizzled with dulce de leche sauce and chocolate sauce before being topped with mini chocolate chips, toasted coconut, and sweet fried plantain chips.
Oh, boy.
That
right.
sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm in.
Parker, have you been to
I'm
the
in.
state fair?
I've actually not, no.
What? How have I? Listen, what? All right, we need an outing to the
Field
state. The
trip.
state fair is unbelievably
We're
fun.
going to go find every single one of these sporkies and drinkies just for you, Parker.
Oh, I've
And
been
then we're
going
gonna
to the
make you
state
suck
fair
the
for
head.
over
Then
30
we're-
years.
Then we're going to make you suck the head of the crawfish.
All right. I know I have some of the, what are they, badger, what? Badger
Yeah,
bites?
first
What
you
was
got to
badger
suck the
bites?
heads because those
Yeah.
are spicy, and then you eat the deep fried balls because they're
balls.
sweet.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
It sounds very good. I am hungry now.
Are you still
I am
with
hungry
it?
now, too.
Are you still afraid of our FCC compliance this morning?
Usually.
Okay.
I don't
He has
blame
no
you,
faith
but
in us. He has
well,
no faith in us.
on my end, it's well placed. Yours, I don't know why he doubts you, but we'll see what happens. Hour 3 coming up, so if you're listening on WMDX, sayonara, suckers. No, we miss you. We want you to stay with us. We'd like you to follow us on the free Civic Media app or YouTube or Facebook. So you can do that. If not, enjoy Stephanie Miller, and we will talk to you tomorrow, but we'll talk to everybody else after the news. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan.
I'm Jamie Martinson, 7:59. This is the Civic Media Network.
All right, I'll be right back.
Brian talking about balls. Jesus.
Are you okay in there?
I'm fine. I think it's hilarious.
Gary in Madison says, cookie butter drizzle, now you have my attention.
Yeah, the cookie
Right?
one was getting me.
Right?
Yeah. The cookie one and that last, the balls, the cinnamon something or another.
I mean,
Bless you.
excuse me.
I need to find the login for that so I
we
can
got
look at these.
6 minutes. I am going to run to the bathroom.
All right. Well, live stream. Hi, we're back. We're doing it again. Brian needs to stop needing to feed the dogs at the same time that Jamie has to run to the restroom. So we keep ending up like this. And I'll be honest with you, folks. I don't know if I can fill that much time by myself with no prep. I can fill time, but it's going to be about nothing. It's times like these I wonder if Frank just sits back on his couch, sipping his little fancy coffee mug as I sit here and try to find the login information for our Milwaukee Business Journal so I can look at these Sporkies and Drinkies, because I am now hungry and very glad that we're going to lunch today. It's one of those days where the computer decides that copy paste just doesn't want to work. I hope you have no technology issues on your day, because I am having technology issues. However, this is a technology issue that doesn't matter. In radio, there are technology issues that matter and ones that don't. Copy paste is one that does not matter. Sounds, believe it or not, sounds are the ones that matter. These are the less pressing things I'm dealing with at the moment here. Let's see if I can just nope. Guess I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and type that sucker in. All this just because I want to see the Sporkies and the Rinkies. All right, we're in, folks. Oh, there's no pictures. Oh. The build-up for nothing to happen. Oh, I'm going to have to actually find these myself. Oh, no. Hello, Brian.
Hello.
I've been narrating myself.
I see a note that you've been filling time on your own. What have you been doing while
Yes.
I've been gone?
I've been trying to find the login for the Milwaukee Business Journal, and then I found it, and then my copy paste function stopped working and was freezing the tabs. So I had to do it the old-fashioned way.
You did?
Type it in myself. I can't believe it. In this day and age, I'm typing in passwords and usernames. Can you believe that? No,
I can, because
Copy paste
everything
won't work.
with this, everything that all the stuff we use from the company, I have had
Yeah.
to type in and,
Yeah.
keep going
I don't
back
wanna
to my
type that
list.
in.
And
Yeah. And so, anyway, I was hoping that I would come across some delicious looking photos, Brian. This is why I wanted to do this, so I could
for the
see.
sporkies and the...
Yeah, so I
I
could
can
Yes.
send
see
you
them.
photos.
Oh, please.
I've got a whole press release. Hold on.
Oh, there's a okay. Because see, I spent all that time trying to log in to see them, and then I finally logged in.
I'm
and it's
sorry.
a list of just words. That's not what I wanted.
Oh my God! I
Who
think
makes-
my computer just melted down.
Huh, that's what I just did.
Oh no! Like I think I've got complete black screen.
Oh shoot.
Well, let me. That's not good.
Well,
all right,
there's a
all right, all right. I closed a bunch of things. Let's see. Oh, that made me panic just a little bit.
you s-
Holy buck! Did anybody else see me like panic for
Yeah,
a second?
yeah.
My whole life is on this thing.
face went white.
It did. Oh, I feel flush even. my whole life is on this thing.
Oh yeah. Who makes a food article without any pictures of the
Oh,
food?
hold on. I'm gonna help you out.
No, this is my beef is with the Business Journal.
Hold on. I'm gonna forward the. Oh, like I'm flush and hot because I thought my laptop died.
Well, you got 30 seconds here.
I got it. We're good. It's good. I had to shut a couple of things. I did a split screen and it was having a meltdown for a minute.
That does it in sometimes.
All right, you should have
Oh, just wait.
photos. There's an attachment with photos.
Hell yeah. 15 seconds.
Across the state of Wisconsin, Daybreak with Brian and Jamie is back.
8:06 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hopefully you are having a great start to your Thursday. If you're in Wisconsin Rapids, listening on WFHR, in Hayward, listening on WBZH, or in the Appleton and Oshkosh area, listening on WISS, we are glad that you decided to spend your morning with us. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Glad you're here. If you want to get involved in the program throughout the rest of the morning, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. People go, slow down on the number. Just remember, 75-CIVIC. That's all you need to know. You can,
fine.
or you can always
Spell.
just go to one of our social media platforms and message us there. Watch us on YouTube, message us there. Just we're here.
Lots of options. We're accessible to you.
Too accessible, if you ask me. But that's just me and my isolationism. I
Yes.
patterned myself after the administration. I
There
try
we
to be
go.
an isolationist whenever possible. All right, let's look at some headlines from the war that we're still in, the war of choice. Brent crude oil prices, the global benchmark, surged above $126 per barrel this morning after setting a new wartime high as the president lays the groundwork for an extended blockade of Iranian ports. Iran's oil minister, meanwhile, urged Iranians to cut consumption.
Also in news from the Middle East, the strategic significance of the Strait of Hormuz is nothing new. As the strait remains effectively shut today, Iran's regime is seeking to display the country's centuries-long control over the crucial waterway in its celebrations of Persian Gulf Day. Celebrated every year since 2004, this event marks Iran's victory over Portugal in 1622 when it expelled Portuguese troops from the island of Hormuz. In the midst of all of this, they still want to have a celebration.
still
I can
gonna
respect
celebrate.
that.
Yeah,
I can respect
listen,
that. Sure.
the country's history. Hopefully they don't do anything drastic
Right.
with the current people who are blocking. But
Right.
that's it. All right, so that's all the headlines from the war. But that's never all the you need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
All right, a proposed rule change could cut federal benefits for disabled adults. That's the Trump administration. That's what they're considering. If approved, this rule would cut monthly federal benefits meant to support disabled adults and indigent older people who live with family members. ProPublica first reported on the proposed change on April 28th based on information from 4 federal officials, internal emails, and a federal regulatory listing. The organization analyzed actuarial figures from the Social Security Administration and found that as many as 400,000 poor and disabled people and indigent older people could have their support cut or eliminated. The Supplemental Security Income Program, run by Social Security Administration, provides an average monthly payment of $737 to about 7.4 million people with severe disabilities and to indigent older. And I've said indigent now more than I've said it in the rest of my life.
Your entire life, yes.
Indigent older people as of early 2026, according to Congressional Research Service. One factor Social Security considers when determining SSI eligibility is whether a person lives in, quote, a public assistance household. For decades, Social Security narrowly defined a public assistance household as one where every person in the home had to receive some form of public assistance. If even one person in the home did not receive such benefits, it would hurt the disabled person's chance of qualifying for SSI. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Programs, or SNAP, was not among the qualifying programs. The proposed rule change would remove SNAP from the list and again require all household members to receive public assistance. So if you have an older parent living with you who gets those benefits, this would erase their benefits, and again, their whole financial care would be on you.
I did some rudimentary research on how this is going to affect Wisconsin, and these are very rough numbers. But right now in this state, more than 30,000 adults with intellectual and developmental abilities live with family members. We're talking at home with parents, siblings, loved ones, and here's the part that a lot of people don't realize: about a quarter of those caregivers are over the age of 60. So that means if you have aging parents, as you rightly pointed out, 60s, 70s, even older, and they're still providing daily care for adult children with disabilities, this is something you're going to want to pay attention to. And across the state, about 1.1 million Wisconsinites are actually caregivers in some form. That's nearly 1 in 4 adults, and on average, they're providing 26 hours of care every single week, often unpaid, helping take care of those family members through the assistance that they get because of the federal government.
But we didn't vote for this.
We certainly did not. A lot of people did not vote for this, in fact.
But okay.
It's crazy. Crazy
and again,
numbers.
Should we point out the irony that while services like this, proposed cuts to average Americans are coming, there's no shortage of money for an increase in defense spending, ICE, and tax breaks for the wealthiest amongst us.
We talked about that a few weeks ago on the show when the president released his budget for the upcoming year. It was the most unfriendly people budget that I think we've seen in this country in maybe ever, but it was very defense friendly. And here's the thing. I believe our military should have what they need to defend this country. I am not one of those people who is defund this and defund that. I believe that our military, our police forces should all be funded in some capacity. They should have what they need to do their jobs. But at the same time, I also believe people should have what they need to live and take care of themselves.
And both can be true. You can have both.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we should try to do it. What other S do we need to know, Jamie?
In other headlines this morning, it turns out we're coming closer to Wisconsin. Open records advocates have landed a major legal victory for transparency throughout the state. In a decision that was released on Tuesday, a Dane County court sided with the Badger Project and its co-plaintiff, the Invisible Institute. This is a Chicago-based journalism organization in their lawsuit that demanded that the State Department of Justice release the names and work history of every certified qualified law enforcement officer in the state. Judge Rhonda Lanford gave this ruling, and Tom Kamenick, who is the lead attorney and founder of the Wisconsin Transparency Project, that's a law firm dedicated to enforcing the state's open records law, said, quote, "This decision is a powerful victory for the right of the public to know who has been entrusted with a badge and a gun." The journalism organizations filed the lawsuit in 2023 when the state DOJ partially denied the request for the policing data. The department cited safety and privacy concerns, especially for undercover officers. The data requested would include an officer's name, birthday or birth year, zip code, and his or her work history. In response to that denial, the Badger Project and Invisible Institute sued in 2024. The plaintiffs argued that since undercover officers don't actually use their true names, releasing them wouldn't put them in jeopardy. The state DOJ's 2023 denial was unlawful, the court wrote in the opinion that was released on Tuesday. Citing an earlier decision, the judge noted that law enforcement officers necessarily relinquish certain privacy and reputational rights by virtue of the amount of trust society places in them and must be subject to public scrutiny. That's a mouthful this morning.
That is a mouthful. I have a problem with.
It's a hard one.
Problem with this because there's a reason that I think police need oversight. We'll
Yes.
say that right out of the box.
Agreed.
I don't think police records need to be available to the public. I think they should be available to agencies and law and the state to conduct investigations, to conduct oversight, all of that. I don't think you and I need to have access to police officers' information. That is going to lead to nothing but trouble. There's no reason, unless I'm part of a lawsuit, and again, then the law firm would be able to get the information. The state will be able to get the information. You and I don't need to do that.
No.
Everybody who's disgruntled because they got a speeding ticket, every lunatic who has some gripe, either real or imagined, can get. I don't like it. And the defense of undercover is really flimsy because even if you get a fake undercover name and you have the rest of their information, someone would be able to find out who that officer is. So that defense doesn't hold water for me.
I thought it was interesting that as part of this ruling, as you read through it, and the courts make it clear that transparency for them is what still matters here. I thought that it was interesting. They point out that without that type of transparency, we can't track the misconduct. We can't understand how officers move from one department to another, and we can't have fully informed conversations about policing in our communities. And I don't agree with that. I don't think we need to be able to track misconduct. I feel like that should be done at the hands of the government and the people in charge of those departments.
And journalists, I think journalists should be able to get to those records.
And as journalists, you can request that information. Right. Like that's a request and it's usually a fairly quick process that you go through for journalists. But I don't really need to know why police are moving from one department to another. I feel like sometimes that's done just like anybody else. Maybe you need to move to a different department for your own health reasons, or because maybe you don't want to be on the street anymore. Maybe you want to do more of a desk job. I don't feel like I need to know that. And I think at some point we have to trust our police forces. And listen, I know a lot of people have questions about how police operations are run across the country. But I think at some point you also have to step back and not community police everything too, because I don't know if that gets us very far if we're constantly tracking what's happening in our police departments. I feel like this feels like one of those public scanner type things to me, right?
Yeah.
Where you can follow along and
easy Gladys Kravitz. Yeah, we don't need to know everything.
But
like
I think the information should be there for people who absolutely need it. And I think, as you mentioned, journalists, certain organizations, certain departments, they should absolutely be able to get that information. I don't know if all of us need to have it in our fingertips, though.
We do not need the public does not need certain information. All right, but we need to know why gas prices are going up and up and up. And finally, pardon me, and S you need to know. Gas prices in southeast Wisconsin are expected to spike now through the first few days of May. The main cause is a power outage at the BP refinery in Whiting, Indiana, which is where the Bears will be playing, Frank, a key supplier for eastern Wisconsin. Ongoing labor disputes and seasonal refinery maintenance means there's less backup supply available. Analysts say some stations may raise prices sharply, while others will increase gradually over several days. Now, Wisconsin's average gas price is already up to about $3.93 per gallon, rising quickly from last week and last year. Southeast Wisconsin is going to be hit the hardest, while western parts of the state are seeing lower prices due to a different supply source. Prices could top $4 a gallon in some areas. Global factors are also at play, including tensions in the Strait of Hormuz affecting oil supplies. Experts say the spike could last for weeks before prices stabilize. So I took your advice, Jamie, when you said yesterday was supposed to be one of the highest days. I went and filled up. Sticker shock again. I'm like, how does it go up every day?
I'm starting to see photos from around Wisconsin. There are some places at least $4 a gallon. Chances that it could actually be over that before, as you mentioned, we see our prices stabilize. So take care of those wallets.
Well, as the old commercial used to say, Wednesday is Prince Spaghetti Day, but should it be Spaghetti Day at a Brewers game? Well, what's the weirdest thing you've taken into a game or concert to eat or drink? We'll get to that after this on Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
Yeah, I was seeing photos from Chicago today where gas is well over $5 a gallon.
Yeah, in the city. I went to Costco again, but even then it was $4.20 something, I think. And that's the cheapest around here. Yeah, in the city it's up in the $5 range. At the regular gas stations near me, it's about $4.50.
So ridiculous.
Even in Indiana now, there's Indiana and Wisconsin used to be the refuge for anybody in the Chicago area to go get gas.
We're getting some texts in here this morning. Christopher in Beaver Dam says $4.29 today in Winnacone. Tiffany in River Falls says $3.99 in River Falls, $4.10 in Prescott.
Wow. Wow.
Yikes.
But they laughed about it yesterday.
Right?
PDH.
No, it's
Pete.
That's the great thing. You can laugh all you want, but until you're somebody out there who's actually paying that on a regular basis, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Because everything else is also going up all at the same time.
Yeah, there's no break.
Because unfortunately, most of the stuff can't get through the Strait of Hormuz, which is now blockaded yet. Still. Ongoing, whatever you want to say.
So is Trevor one of the authors of this?
We got 10 seconds.
Local news, community stories, and the conversations that matter most. Now, more Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
It's 8:22 right now. We hope that you are having a great start to your Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us on the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. I have been known in the past, mostly when I was young, to try to sneak certain things into various events, whether it's a sporting event like a Brewers game, for example, or a movie theater. But some people take it to an extreme. So what's the craziest thing you've ever brought in to a game or a concert. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. This question was spurred by a Milwaukee area fan and his friends. And we had to double check. This was not Parker and his buddies last Saturday.
No,
correct? This was not you?
I'm afraid it was not. I'm ashamed to say I don't even know these people.
Oh,
I think you need to make friends.
Yeah.
I think I need to make these friends.
How
Yes.
about
These are
it?
good friends.
So these are guys they brought in. It was a little stunt. Mitch Krebs is 32. He's from St. Francis. He organized a full spaghetti dinner inside the stadium during the Brewers' win over the Diamondbacks on the 28th, which was Tuesday. That's Tuesday. That was Tuesday's game. The group, and this is all legal, by the way, because the Brewers are one of the few places you can bring in your own snacks. You don't.
Right.
You're not at the mercy of their concession stands, which are top tier, but they're a little pricey,
different.
little pricey.
Yeah.
But yes. So they brought in all the ingredients under the stadium's carry-in policy, in which fans can bring personalized size food items if they fit in a clear plastic bag. So Krebs and his 5 friends divided up the meal responsibilities. One brought noodles, one brought garlic bread, somebody brought Parmesan cheese, meatball sauce, even paper plates. It wasn't hot by the time they sat down, but it is hilarious.
It's spaghetti. It doesn't need to be hot. It's still delicious.
Listen, just for the few moments of hilarity that will ensue. I gotta believe. So somebody brought in a Cubs fan, I guess, came to AmFam and talked about bringing in a Chipotle bowl. That's uninspired.
Lame.
That's what I would expect from a Cubs fan. We're just going to do a chain restaurant, bro. Bro, Cephas, let's go to Chipotle. Get us a drink. And I know all Cubs fans don't sound like inbred Southerners, but enough do.
Well, we'll defer to Frank on that later on, but we'll keep going.
Frank is seething right now. Seething. Well, Krebs was right. He said Brewers fans could do it better. And hence the spaghetti dinner.
Wow.
Have you ever taken anything like that in?
No, I have not. I am a rules follower, so I take my clear little bag with all of my little things in it, and it fits neatly, and I'm good to go. Plus, I love the stadium food. I'm sorry, spaghetti sounds amazing, but I love it. But I get it. If you want a little competition with your counterparts in the Cubs.
Also, sometimes you're tailgating and you don't have time to eat everything. So
right. So you
now
get
is
to
it
bring it in.
like a quart-sized Ziploc bag, or can you bring the gallon-sized Ziploc bag?
I think you can bring the gallons. I'm pretty sure.
Oh man, I could fit like 4
size.
brats in there.
Right.
Oh, you could fit
a lot of stuff in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. That's
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
spaghetti. I've had leftover spaghetti that I put in a Ziploc bag. You can fit a
Share
lot
with
of
friends.
spaghetti in a gallon-sized Ziploc.
No, I have to? They had the paper plates, so they didn't have to eat right out of the bags. That's what I was concerned about.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no,
did they
these
belly
guys
up
sound
with,
like they had it
troughs?
together.
Okay,
They're professionals.
All right. I just wanted to make sure nobody looked like they were eating out of a trough in that 13-2 win, because that could get a little messy. But I mean, I think this is actually genius. Now, Krebs is actually already known among his friends for some of these very creative stadium traditions, including drinking Ham's beer with a slice of lemon, something that has gained a lot of local popularity.
Really?
He also calls, I guess, I don't know.
I've never heard of hams with the lemon.
I was going to say, Parker,
People
you're
actually
of
drink
that age.
hams. That's what surprises me the most.
Jamie, it comes from the land of sky blue waters. Of course I'm going to drink it. It's the beer refreshing.
He also calls himself the president of a fan-created hot dog club at the ballpark. And despite all of this viral attention that he's gotten, he says that he doesn't see himself as any sort of influencer, joking that he's just someone that people enjoy watching. I don't know. You got a hot dog club and you started hams with lemon. I think that you are totally a Brewer/stadium influencer, no matter what you want to say about
dude,
yourself.
now we're talking about you on the show for your spaghetti
Right.
dinner. All right, Parker. Now your friend, the last couple of weeks, you've
Gotta
gone to a
up the
couple
game
Brewers
here.
games with your friends.
I have.
What are you going to do? Thanksgiving
Man.
dinner? You're going to bring all the fixins?
We could bring all the fixins. I did see a video recently of a guy who brought in a full rotisserie chicken.
Nice.
Oh, Oh, I like
I
that.
like that idea.
That's
Bring in the
good.
chicken,
Yeah.
but then you got to have
gotta have
somebody
the
who's going to
sides,
bring
though,
some
too.
cornbread and some taters, and
That's true.
Or some macaroni and cheese if you want to go that route.
don't
Like,
forget the
Okay.
plates, or Jamie can't join you. She doesn't want a
They
medieval
were-
times this meal.
I don't want anybody to look like they're eating out of a trough. That's
Oh, and
just weird.
imagine the greasy fingers dipping back
Right?
into the rotisserie chicken bag. No,
Oh.
pass me the bag of
Oh.
meat. No, thank you.
Now, for anybody
This
who's
is great.
I think this is fantastic. And for anybody who's wondering, Krebs says that this might not be their last themed meal. So they have some good ideas for the future. They want to bring in some fried rice or maybe even a full party sub that they carry into the stadium.
Jamie, we could do charcuterie boards and be
Yes.
fancy.
We totally could.
We
that
could
would
do
be
all
so
of that.
good.
That would be
That would
lovely.
be so good. We could definitely
I'd
do
love
a
some
charcuterie board.
charcuterie.
I love charcuterie. What's your favorite part of a charcuterie board?
The dry white cheeses. I love a good
yeah.
spicy, like
Yeah.
an Asiago or some
Yep.
sort. That's my favorite, and the salami.
I like
But-
trying to up myself on the cracker game too, right? Because you can go out and you can get the standard crackers.
You gotta have good. No,
But you gotta have good crackers, really good crackers.
I've learned a lot of charcuterie board tricks from my daughter. She loves making the charcuterie boards. So I actually have a couple charcuterie boards.
Oh, nice.
Oh yes, because I am fancy that way. They were both gifted to me, so
That's good.
I didn't go out
taking care
looking.
of you.
Yeah,
Taking care
sure.
of you.
All right, well, we need to be taking care of the schools, and we haven't. We'll talk to Miranda Dunlap from Wisconsin Watch about what's happening to the districts whose referenda did not pass in the current election. We'll get to all of that and more. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
Appreciate Alicia checking my pronunciation of Winnicani. Winnicani. Right? Hopefully I'm saying that right now. She gave me a pronunciation key.
I thought it was Winnicone. Good morning, Miranda.
Good morning, Miranda. How are you today?
Morning, Miranda.
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
We're great. Mr. Plow King says that he'll get some crudites from Dr. Oz for the game buffet.
From Dr. Oz? Is Dr. Oz known for his...
Charcuterie game?
Yeah.
Big charcuterie board guy?
I don't know.
I had no idea.
First time hearing about Dr. Oz.
That's one person we don't get to talk about often.
Molly
on this
worked
show.
for him in New York right before the
Really?
pandemic. Yeah.
Huh.
Did not enjoy her time there.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, Molly doesn't like lying.
Good for her.
And that's all I'll say about that.
Weird. Some people are kind of like that, right?
Yeah, she doesn't like exploiting audience members.
Weird.
Yeah.
Miranda, we have just under 4 minutes before we go live.
Okay, perfect.
Miranda, real quick for me, I just want to double check. Could you go down to the settings gear and get over to audio and just check what microphone that you've got right now? If it's your laptop one or if it's from your headphones.
Oh, it was my laptop. Now it should be my headphones.
Okay, sorry. I'm actually going to have you go back to the laptop. A
Okay.
little better quality with the other one.
Okay.
Thank
Does
you.
that sound better?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sometimes the tweaks don't work.
Yeah. There's a checklist of ideas. Sometimes they just don't go how you want.
Troy from Mount Horeb with all the ideas.
Yes.
Troy from Mount Horeb said that if you're going to bring something into a game and his phone call, that it's Crown in a Coke bottle.
Wow.
Good stuff to bring in your big coat during the winter.
Sure. And then find the listing for your meeting and go thereafter.
Okay.
Got 40 seconds till we're back here. Miranda, just so you know, when we get down to our last couple of minutes, I'll give you hand signals how many minutes we got left. And if you start hearing music, that means we just have to wrap it up.
Got it.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Here we go. 15 seconds.
Now back to more of Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. Hopefully you are having a great Thursday. It's 8:35 right now. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Over $1 billion in referendums from 73 school districts were on the ballot earlier this month. Voters approved 37 of the 63 operational referendums, which asked to raise money, of course, to fund the cost of running schools. The 12 other proposals wanted capital revenue to cover construction costs, things like that, 9 of which passed. Wisconsin Watch did a thorough breakdown of the effects of the referendums on school districts. Joining us to share some of those findings is Miranda Dunlop from Wisconsin Watch. Miranda, thanks for being here today. So prior to the election, a Marquette University Law School poll warned that voters were more worried about property taxes than school funding. So was it still, though, a shock to see how many of the referendums failed?
I don't know if the number of referendum that failed was necessarily a shock. I mean, the passage rate taken all together was, pretty in line with previous years, if a little bit higher. So I wouldn't say that it was a total shock. I think, the poll also helped warn us that people are becoming wary of added taxes. So no, not really a shock.
Can you walk us through what happened? Because your reporting is centered on Fond du Lac. And so can you kind of walk us through what happened in Fond du Lac and why voters rejected that referendum, and then what happened immediately after that?
Sure. Full disclosure, I'm not super well versed in exactly what happened in Fond du Lac. It was definitely a detail in the story, but I wasn't, following it in the lead up to the election. So probably not the best person to give a full breakdown of that. But they did have a $30 million referendum on the ballot, and it did not pass. There have been budget cuts in previous years ahead of this. So this is kind of like salt in the wound a little bit. You're looking at even more cuts moving forward because of that. And the changes that have been made in the district in just the week since they found out that they're not getting that added revenue, it's moved pretty quickly. They've already announced closing 2 schools, which is a big decision to make. They're cutting dozens of staff, and there's going to probably be program shutdown, things like that. So, pretty quickly finding out after voters rejected that there's going to be pretty direct impacts in the schools because of that.
Are those impacts being seen in the other districts who also did not have their referenda passed?
Absolutely. I think the main point that we're trying to draw here with this story is that this is a trend. This is not just one district where a referendum didn't pass and now they're making changes and they're an outlier because of it. This is happening everywhere, all over the state, in the places in the 24 districts where these referendums did not pass. All of them are opening up their budget books and saying, okay, where can we find the money to plug this gap, basically. So not alone in that.
As you mentioned, the layoffs and possible school closures, programs being cut. After these referendums don't pass, is that, I mean, obviously schools have to make hard choices, so that seems kind of typical, but does this feel more like an accelerated situation this time with the schools? Because it seems like they had plans pretty much set just in case at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to say that things are becoming more and more consequential. I mean, at this point, a lot of these school districts would say that they've been operating with tightened budgets for years now because they haven't seen a substantial increase in school funding that's keeping up with the factors that they're taking on, like inflation and declining enrollment and those sort of things. So these school districts would probably say that they've been doing more with less, which makes these rejections hurt even more because they were relying on it more, if that makes sense. So I think you, as far as like the speed with which the changes have been made, I'm not super sure if this has happened in the past like this, but it does definitely feel like it's becoming more urgent.
Miranda Dunlap's our guest. She's a journalist from Wisconsin Watch, wisconsinwatch.org. I want to go back to something you were saying a couple minutes ago, Miranda, about trends. Augusta County, you reported on, had a relatively small request, $750,000. So when even a small need like that doesn't pass, what does that mean looking forward for not only taxpayer support, but then have there been discussions of where they can find this money? If they can't get it from the people in their community for, I'm guessing, not a huge increase per person with only $750,000 asked, what's the future hold for them?
Yeah, they're definitely looking at where they can make cuts, where they could trim up their budget, lose staff, those sorts of things. I think the district superintendent was also someone who called on our lawmakers to, change something, give them some reprieve, come through maybe with a little bit more money. I think there's sort of like two things that school leaders are thinking about after voters tell them no. One is, can we go back to them again with a different ask that they might be more willing to say yes to? And the second is, can our lawmakers do something about this and, for lack of a better term, bail us out of this?
Before we let you go, Miranda, there's been a lot of talk that if these referendums don't fail for some districts, we're going to have to move into something that Wisconsin has not seen before, and that's consolidation. Has there been much talk, or as you were talking to these districts, is that something that seems to be coming either immediately in some places or down the road for other districts?
Absolutely. It's definitely a topic of conversation. The three of the school districts that I spoke to, and not all of them called me back, so that was a good share, said that they were either, one is planning on closing entirely, unless something changes. I believe that is the plan. They canceled summer school and, they're done at the end of the year. And the other two are thinking about how they can, one is thinking about how they can merge with maybe a nearby school district and have students take classes in those buildings, or kind of just, be absorbed by a nearby place. And another is thinking, if we're not able to pass a bond in the next cycle, or referendum, in the next cycle, is that something that we're going to have to talk about, is closing entirely or merging?
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely is a big topic.
Miranda, we appreciate your time this morning. Miranda Dunlap, she is a journalist over at Wisconsin Watch. If you want to check out more of her work and all of the great work they do over there, wisconsinwatch.org. Again, thank you so much for
Thanks,
your time.
Miranda. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. I mean, Brian, I think this is an ongoing conversation that we're going to see here in the state of Wisconsin. And we knew how touchy these subjects were going into this April 7th election. I'll be honest, I was actually shocked at how many actually passed.
That was a pretty big ratio, and as Miranda said, it's not too out of line. I want to know if your district had a referendum, did it pass? And if it didn't, especially if it didn't, if your kids go to school in a district that a referendum did not pass, or if you live there and it did not pass, how is it going to be addressed in your community? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842.
I mean, and we've talked about this on the show, and I've been pretty public about my experience growing up. And I know for a lot of folks in Wisconsin, seeing a school consolidate is somewhat new.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in South Dakota, I'll be honest, you have sometimes 2, 3, 4 school districts that consolidate into one because of the size towns that we're dealing with in South Dakota. You don't have a lot of major population, right? So you have a lot of small towns that are completely separate little entities of about 100 to 150 people, sometimes 200 to 300 people. And those towns cannot afford to have their own school districts. So they actually have to go out and find other school districts and other towns to partner with. So at one case, you had the Plankington, Ethan, I'm trying to think, Emory, and Parkston School District. There were 4 school districts combined into one on that particular instance. I came from a school where there were 3 school districts combined into one. And yes, travel is a problem. You bus. You have to figure out what buildings to use. You have to figure out what teachers are going to stay and where their skills are most used. But for towns of 150, 200 people, it's what made the most sense for South Dakota. So this is not anything new for me.
No, and it's not new around me. I see it mostly with high schools, where smaller communities will have their grade school, and then a number of communities will come together for one large high school, which makes sense. But then as you get into more rural areas, then it does become like you're describing in South Dakota, where you have to bring some of those together. And in parts of Wisconsin, that may be the only option, which is not, there are bad points to it, but there's also some good points where you can bring together some of that money and you can create a better environment for the kids, because now there's shared money that will get facilities. It will get all kinds of stuff. Linda is on the line. She's in Eau Claire. She wants to join us now at 855-75-CIVIC. Good morning, Linda.
Hi. The topic you're talking about here, it gets really frustrating for many of us who for years have been watching what's happening with the public school system. Do you know that since the 90s, when vouchers first came into being in Wisconsin, over $4 trillion has been taken out of public schools? No one is talking about this, the effect of vouchers, how they are killing public schools.
No, you're right, Linda. We don't focus on it enough. And the voucher system is the bane of public schools, and it doesn't make sense to most people, myself included. But thank you for the call, Linda. We appreciate it. Yeah, we aren't talking about that, and that is a staggering number.
It is a staggering number.
That much money that could be used. And I'm the product of a private grade school and high school. I'm not against private schools, but my parents sacrificed a lot to go to private school.
I think it's gotten out of hand, and with the voucher schools, it's become a way of again, kind of like what we've talked about this morning. There's been a running theme with the Voting Rights Act of basically making sure that some people don't have the same rights as others. That's
Right.
what the voucher school program has effectively become. I'm a product of public schools until I got to college, and then I ended up in private colleges for my continuing education. But I am very much a product of public schools. I'm very proud of my education as a public schools.
Yeah,
And
my daughter went to public schools. And my parents and I taught in public schools.
Yeah.
No beef on public schools. No shade.
No, I think
But
what's
if-
happening to our entire school system is a problem.
Private schools are a choice that you can make, and usually it's for people who have some more money or their kids get scholarships. It is a sacrifice to go to a private school. Public schools are for the people who don't have that luxury. This is the Civic Media Network.
All right. Miranda, I see you're still here. You're all good to go. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
You know, Linda's absolutely right. Private schools and the voucher program have killed schools. It's unfortunate. But it also tells me that then from top to bottom, we need to figure out a new system for for like all of schools, not just voucher, public schools, everything. We need a completely different system from start to bottom.
Well, you can't. That's education is one of the things we want our government to handle.
Right.
We don't want them to keep coming back to us hat in hand.
Right.
Find a way to make it work. And, you know, people on an everyday level, if we're operating with a surplus as big as the state is, we're going to use some of it to improve our home or our lives or whatever. We just cannot sustain this. Speaking of sustaining things, Ricardo Torres sustaining an unbelievable career as a journalist at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Do you like that set? Even off the air, Ricardo, I throw the segue.
I learned from the best from Saturday's AM radio.
Well, you know, I try to pass on my knowledge to the youth of America.
For better or worse.
Well, yeah, exactly. I didn't say I passed on good lessons. I say I pass on my lessons. How are you, man?
Doing good. How is everyone?
Good. Thanks for jumping on with us today.
No problem. Thanks for the invite. Always happy to come on.
Good. We got a couple minutes before we come back, and you know.
Yeah, we got about a minute and a half here. And Ricardo, I think you know the drill. I'll give you hand signals how many minutes we got left, and if you start to hear music, that means we have to wrap it up. So
that's good.
Is that a green screen background?
No, that's
a real newsroom.
Or a real newsroom. It'll start filling up later on.
I was going to say, yeah, it's pretty early. That's why I thought it might be a green screen. I'm like, you're the only guy working at the Journal-Sentinel?
No, there's still people here. A lot of people start their day at home and then come in
whenever they need to.
That makes sense.
Eat your lunch
But
at home and then go in for an hour or two.
I'm so used to radio life where you had to be on, like
exactly.
you had to be in studio or be on air. Like there was no option. There is no option to do it. At least back in my day.
Well, yes, back in my early day too. Now, you know, my commute's all the way upstairs. I can't.
All right,
grueling.
We got 15 seconds until we're back.
From Lake Superior to Lake Michigan, this is Wisconsin's Morning Conversation. Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
We hope that your morning is going well so far. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. I am Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Wisconsin's manufacturing sector lost about 86,000 jobs in 2025. Is that something we should be worried about? Is the number a little misleading? Where did that job loss actually come from? Ricardo Torres is a journalist for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and he was covering all of this. We are happy to welcome him back. Ricardo, thanks for being here. We appreciate it as always. Okay, so that's a pretty big number. Is that number a little misleading, or does that mean companies are just bailing, or is the numbers coming from somewhere else?
Oh, one big point of clarification: it's 8,600, not
8,600. Well, I like to add zeros. I go big. Yeah. Sorry, no, you are correct. 8,600, big difference.
Yes, slight difference. And this was according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Their data has been coming out this last month. There was a slight delay because of the government shutdown and accumulating and benchmarking that data to see if what has been reported turned out to be accurate. And in Wisconsin, yes, manufacturing jobs contracted by 8,600. And one of the things that we thought that was very interesting, we didn't have some big layoff. We didn't have some big company shut down, a factory close, or things like that. And just in talking to people in the industry, a lot of this has come from people retiring and then those jobs not being filled, or people switching jobs and there not being enough workers to fill those jobs.
So, Ricardo, how is this affecting some of our major employers throughout the state, like Milwaukee Tool and some of the others right now?
Milwaukee Tool has job openings. There are jobs available at it, and they're having difficulties filling some of those positions. And it's not a unique problem to manufacturers in the state. What a lot of companies are doing is they're looking to robots. They're looking to AI and other forms of automation to continue to get their products out there. I was at Rockwell a few months ago, and I was watching robots move pallets that are hundreds of pounds that normally a forklift driver would do. And these robots are just kind of moving around the floor by themselves. They have cameras, they have sensors. They could pick up things, move it other places without there being real much risk of injury to other people. But so that's kind of what manufacturers are doing.
I don't mean to laugh. I'm watching your face, Brian, so I know you have questions about this.
Well, no, I think the robot thing always worries me. But to get back to the not being able to fill the jobs, are the manufacturers making the choice to go more automated? Because we know there are people who are looking for work. Is it the type of jobs that are opening that just there are no qualified candidates, or is it one of those where it's in the long term for these manufacturers, it's more cost effective to go with automation rather than a human employee?
I think it's a mixed bag of several of those things. We have job openings, but we have a labor shortage. We don't have enough workers in this state able to fill those jobs. And we could fix that by having more people from out of state relocate to Wisconsin, obviously more from immigration and people coming into the country and coming to Wisconsin to help solve some of those issues. And so out of necessity, companies are moving more towards robotics and automation, but also they're still dealing with this stigma of your grandfather's factory. And it's not anymore. But there's that stigma that lingers out there that it takes some more effort to break through to younger generations that these are careers worth going into.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that. We're talking with Ricardo Torres. He's a reporter at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, jsonline.com, if you want to check out some of his work. That was my question. Are younger workers just not interested in these types of manufacturing jobs? Is it a skills gap? Is that something that we could see helped by our technical schools training programs?
So yes, but also we're not having as many kids as we were 50, 60 years ago. So even if you had, say, from a percentage standpoint, the same percentage of workers that in the past were going into these jobs, you're still ending up with a deficit of, or having a surplus really of more job openings than there are people to fill them. So there are trades that are going out there they're trying to be competitive with their wages, with their benefits to attract more workers. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of a mixture.
Ricardo, we only got about 2 minutes left. In your reporting, you said that the decline that we saw in Wisconsin last year is not what didn't surprise economists, but what does it mean going forward if this trend continues?
So the biggest issue that we have in Wisconsin's economy is this labor shortage, that we have companies that want to hire workers and are having trouble finding the right workers to fill them and having enough qualified applicants to fill them. And this is something that's persisted with the state for a while, and it's going to continue at least in the short term. So that's probably the biggest thing that companies and economists worry about, is how long is this labor shortage going to go on for?
All right. Well, it is always a pleasure to talk to Ricardo Torres. He is a journalist from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. You can read all Ricardo's fine work at jsonline.com. Good to talk to you, buddy. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right. There you go. So this is it. Convince people to move to Wisconsin. I know people in Wisconsin
Right?
like, we don't want any more people moving here. Well, there's jobs here. You could come and there's work
We need
in
people
Wisconsin.
here. We
Yes.
need people here to fill these vacancies.
Whether it's teachers, nurses, people who want to work in factories, there's work. Wisconsin, the land of opportunity. I'll work for the State Tourism Bureau.
We'll share our cheese with you. There's another slogan. We'll share our cheese.
We'll share our cheese. Oh, man. Come to Wisconsin. Make some bank. All right. Listen, we're done. I'm out. We're finished. We're done talking to you. But thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the program. We will talk to you again tomorrow. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak.
I'm Jamie Martinson. This is the Civic Media Network.
All right. And it looked like Ricardo already jumped out of here.
He bailed. He knows the deal.
He knows how this works.
He's been
Goodbye,
part of the
live stream.
game.
Goodbye, live stream.
Have a good day.
Bye, live stream.
We'll see you on
Bye,
the
live